Roll Tide, everybody. I could not wait to get on here and talk to you guys tonight as Alabama continues the mauling of the once mighty Bayou Bengals in this Death Valley place that they play. So before I do anything else, as the final ticks of a good old-fashioned country ass-whooping tick off the clock, and before I play the open to the show, let me just go ahead and do this, take off that, and put that on there and tell you loud and proud, roll motherfucking Tide. Oh, yeah, baby. Let's go. We're going to take your calls. We're going to talk about this game. I put the final up there, but we might put another 6 on them if they don't watch out. What a night for this Alabama team. What a night for the Crimson Tide. I did not see this coming, but I love it. I love all the high fives I'm seeing at the end of the game. Coach DeBoer smiling. Hey, we put together a great game plan, guys. We took care of business. The defense, maulers. The offense, running the football. Jalen Milroe, doing the Jalen Milroe thing that we've been begging him to do. Just run the ball, man. On the show, well, we'll hear from Coach DeBoer. I may even pull up the Brian Kelly press conference for us. Clint Lamb's going to be on with us as well. We'll take your calls. We'll talk about this game. 33 seconds left. And I'm telling you, man, hopefully this is the game that turns things around for Alabama. You got Mercer next week, so it's a get well game. Then you got to go on the road to Oklahoma. It's going to be a physical game. They're going to play tough football. And then them guys come to town. And I know normally when they come to Tuscaloosa, we beat their ass, but you never know. You just never know. They're always, when you go there, it's like a different world, but we don't go there. We stay at home. And then you do that, and they're going to make the college football playoff. So we'll see. We'll see if LSU's got 33 seconds left here, and they're way down inside the red zone. So we'll see. Maybe it'll be another stand for this Alabama team, and they are still hitting. I mean, these guys are not going to let them walk into the end zone and score a touchdown. And I'm going to tell you something right now. This defense, and I know LSU's missing some players, but so is Alabama. It's that time of year right now. This defense decided to bow up against LSU in Death Valley, where the TV networks try to put Alabama in a bad situation, and all Alabama did is just go in there and whoop them. And look at these blitzes. I mean, all-out blitzes. We're all coming, baby. We're all coming for you. We're not letting you get in that end zone. It's 3rd and 8 right now, and we are not letting you get in the end zone. And I'm not answering the phone until the double zeros are on the clock. So together, let's pull together and see if we can get this game over without them scoring. I saw somebody put in the comment section, no mercy. And that's right, Cobra Kai. I think college football better take notice because there is no dominant team this year. And I've told you guys before, Alabama has all that they want to win a championship. All right, is that a touchdown? All right, so Lacey just rolled in the end zone and got a touchdown. A 12-yard touchdown. All right, well. Oh, well. First touchdown that they've given up in a while. That guy can play, man. I'm telling you, Lacey's a good player. All right, let's go to the phone lines. I don't care. I don't know. You know what? That guy might be out. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Let's talk some football while we're waiting on Clint and watching the end of this game. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mick, it is Stan, the man from LA. What's going on, brother?
Stan, what's up, brother, man? Tell me that you loved that Milroe performance today. Just tell me that.
Let me tell you, baby, it is MAGA all the way. Make Alabama great again, baby. This has been the best week. This has been the best week. And I'm just telling you, Milroe went off. The whole team went off. Let me tell you something. This was beautiful. Finally, some perfect execution, offense, defense, even burned up with the 72-yard punt. Everything clicking, rolling, getting everything reset. It's just a beautiful, beautiful. We need to savor this and keep the momentum going on this one, baby. This was just beautiful. This was textbook. This was absolutely a one-time beatdown of the year. This is the beatdown of the year that Alabama can reset, refocus, and they did the thing. How about DeBoer? How about getting the boys together? How about Womack? That defense was beast this week, and I'm jacked up right now, and I'm lighting up the Placencia, baby, because it's going to be a great night tonight.
It is a great night for a cigar. I mean, like you got to beat your rivals. I've said that all week.
You got to
beat your rivals, but I didn't know that when I said beat, I meant maybe 1 point. I didn't know we were going to beat ass on these rivals because all these guys always. They're not as bad as Tennessee, but they talk a lot of you know what, and it's great to see Alabama just go in there and empty out the stadium. Like old times, man. It's like old times.
Amen, brother. Amen, like old times, brother, like old times. This is absolutely – it is Death Valley for themselves, man. When we walk in there with our Crimson jersey, it is Death Valley for LSU. The LS losers, they got handed tonight, man. They got it handed to them tonight. You know, we give up they gave up on our third string defense. They got a little touchdown on the end. Who cares, man? We did it tonight, and this was just an exclamation point. Hey, take it to the book, 24-hour rule, let them celebrate, and then recalibrate, baby.
Hey, roll tide, Stan. Great to hear from you, brother, and I'm enjoying this one with you, man. Light that cigar, have a couple of puffs for me, man.
Love you, Mick. Love your show. Love Crimson Cover. Everything is cool with y'all. Keep rolling, baby.
Hey,
just can't get enough, man. Cannot get enough. Y'all are the best.
Thank you.
Y'all are the best that there is when it comes to Bama coverage. And shout out to Clint. Shout out to Mike Johnson. Shout out to all the boys, man.
Don't forget about
we love
Jake.
You guys. Y'all
don't
just
forget
keep
about
rolling.
Jake, Stan. Now, come on. Don't forget about Coker.
Oh, Mr. Coker's my buddy, man. I can't wait to one day meet y'all.
You gotta come to the show.
I'm in Dothan. I gotta swing down there to Florida sometimes. Get up there and see you guys. I'll bring you a cigar and some bourbon, and we'll have a good day.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm hungover from yesterday, but it was fun. It's a fun day. Hey,
love y'all, man. Let's enjoy the show tonight, man.
Hey,
let's enjoy the show tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Great call there, Stan, getting us started on this big night. 42-13. I see Clint's popping on. Clint, we're 100 people deep, man. I don't know where you're black in there. There you are. Whoa. Yeah, sorry, Clint. We started without you, man. We just had to. We couldn't miss the opportunity to put the Roll Motherfucking Tide hat on and just lament in this. Just
how you feeling, Mick?
I feel great, man. I mean, I've been waiting for Milroe to run the ball, and he ran it today. LSU's gotten 2 years of just Milroe running over them. They have to hope he goes to the NFL because he owns them, man. Good God. How about the 70-yard run he had?
I mean, 4 touchdowns, like 190 yards rushing. I think right now he's back on pace. I think he's got 16 rushing touchdowns in 9 games. So I think in the regular season, he's on pace for 20 or 21. Just incredible rushing performance from him. Incredible performance from the defense. When you look at Kalen DeBoer and you look at what he's been able to do when he's had multiple weeks to prepare, we talked about this leading up to the game, right? I mean, you talk about Georgia this year, you talk about, playing Oregon last year, playing Texas in the first round of the college football playoffs. You talk about playing Texas the year before. Just anytime that you give Kalen DeBoer's teams more than a week to prepare, whether it be a bye week or preparing for a bowl game or a college football playoff game, his teams always come out ready to play some football. And they've played some really good teams, including LSU. You really haven't seen too many of these blowouts, though. You've seen a lot of close games against some really good teams. But as far as blowing a team out like LSU, just phenomenal job by Kalen DeBoer.
Man. Clint,
on the road.
On the road in the SEC anymore. Ask Georgia.
Hey, I will say this was the best called offensive game plan I think Alabama and Nick Sheridan has had since the Georgia game, the first half against Georgia. It just felt like they were always a step ahead of LSU. It felt like LSU was always scrambling, trying to figure out, okay, it's kind of an art to it as far as calling plays. Like, you're calling certain things. The defense is trying to make adjustments to that, and you're trying to stay one step ahead of those adjustments. And I thought that Nick Sheridan did a phenomenal job in this one doing that.
Well, Bama now all of a sudden a 47% chance to make the SEC title game, and I'll take an SEC championship. I'll take that. I'll take a win over Texas, but we got to go week by week, man. And I know I don't want to get ahead of myself, but thank you. The mustache is lucky, and we've had a lot of heat on the stash this week, but it's not going anywhere now. Now we got to be locked in on the stash because, I mean, the stash has got to the stash just picked up the biggest win since Georgia.
You can't shave it, Mick. I mean, we talked about this. What was it, on Monday? I think you and I did and I told you, just understand it's no shave November for old Mick, at least when it comes to the stash. And if they get a win this weekend, which not only did they deliver a win for you, they delivered an impressive, a decisive win. That mustache, I mean, it might be who's the guy with the long hair that when you can't cut the hair because he takes away the strength. If you cut that mustache, Samson. I think the stash is the Samson stash, man. That's what we're going to start calling it. You got to hang on to it until Alabama loses.
All right, let's go back to the phones. And guys, remember, you can't hear Clint, so make your point, and then we'll chew on it together and take your calls. We're also going to wait on Coach DeBoer. We'll hear from him, maybe even Brian Kelly on the show, because I'm kind of curious to see what he has to say. Who's this and where you calling from?
What's going on, guys? This is G. Ellis from Mobile, Alabama. Calling back again, man.
What's up, G. Ellis?
How y'all doing, man?
Roll Tide.
Hey, big fucking Roll Tide, man. So I've been taking notes, man. And first thing off the bat, discipline. Hell of a lot of discipline on that field today. And I think one of the commentators even said it, man. The team took it upon themselves to realign their priorities and the direction that they wanted to take themselves in, the culture that they want to set. And it really showed, man. And, aside from, also, man, you got Nick Sheridan. Shout out to Nick Sheridan, man.
Yeah.
Those are great play. Those are great play calls all day, man. Everybody knows that Jalen's going to be heavy on the run game, but the way that they mix them in, you know what I'm saying? They dial them in, kind of a fake here. Is it a draw? Is it an option? Is he just going to flat out just take shit and go with it, man? I mean, I thought they did a really good job of mixing that in, man. You know what? Also, guys, we might. I think I'm ready to let the T-shirt slide. Not quite yet, though. Not quite yet. I'm still an old school Bama guy, man. So we'll see about that. I think Bama's. I'm just saying. Straight up, Bama's going to be in the top 10 at the end of this, dog. For real. That's just what it is, bro. Jalen Miller went, 12 for 185 for 4 touchdowns on the ground, bro? Fuck out of here, man. This is great, man. This is a great game.
G. Ellis, I said it earlier this week, too, man. Like, discipline, Milroe running the ball and third downs, and, I mean, they killed it in all three of them.
Come on, man. Every single category. Hey, big ups to – one last thing. This is my last note I had on here, man. In the last couple of weeks, it was really like Jalen had it all on his shoulders, right? Mm-hmm. With the run game. But this week, you got the run game, but it wasn't all on his shoulders, man. That line, that bruising line was opening those slots up, man. They were holding it down. They were giving enough time to make passes out there. Shout out to Ryan Williams. Came off the fingertips a little bit, but ain't nobody holding that against him because it's wet out there, man. But he had time to throw it. So it wasn't all on his shoulders. This is a full team game that we saw here today, man. Big fucking Roll Tide from the Gulf Coast, guys.
Let's go, man. Hey, G. Ellis, thanks, brother, and call back anytime, man. Great call today. Great call.
Hey,
great call there, man. I'm fired up with him.
7 penalties in a hostile environment, and especially when you had a false start on the very first snap of the game. I mean, you automatically put yourself in an unfavorable situation. We talked about it. They ended up having second and longs. They had third and longs in the early drives. Jalen Milroe and really, his ability to extend helped Alabama still manage to put up points. And just a phenomenal job as far as, I've seen people criticizing the 109 passing yards. Guys, you were very much in command the entire game. It was raining, first of all, so weather played a part in that. There were some missed vertical opportunities where it was just right out of reach. Part of it was, rain. I know that affected things some. There were some on the money throws that weren't caught. There were also some throws that were slightly overthrown. But, I will say, just when you are in this much command, running the football and you're playing really good defense, opportunistic defense, you talk about the turnovers. We knew Garrett Nussmeier is capable of giving you multiple, and Alabama had 3. They now have 17 in only 6 SEC games. That is an absurd number, guys. And so really impressed with the defensive performance, impressed with what Alabama was able to do on the ground. Now, granted, when you look at some of these numbers like Jam Miller, 2.9 yards per carry, Justice Haynes, 2.9 yards per carry, that does not tell the whole story. When it was 3rd and 1, they were converting 10 of 13 on third downs, by the way. 10 of 13. That is an absurd number, too.
They hit all of my things, Clint. Every one of them.
Every one of them. The domination was really pretty much from start to finish, and it didn't always look pretty, but it was very clear who the better football team was tonight.
All right, listen, super chats, you always go right to the front of the line. Ryan, thank you so much. Best and most complete game of the season. I loved it. I loved it, too. And that reminded me of a good old-fashioned Alabama football game. The way that I thought the offensive line looked comfortable. They didn't look like they were panicked. They didn't look like they were intimidated. They weren't rushing, and I mean like rushing the snap and all that stuff. Who wants to go back and watch? And Clint's going to do this on Cover Crimson, by the way, on covercrimson.com. Clint, do me a favor and keep an eye on Booker, because Booker was just trucking dudes out there, man, pancaking some guys, throwing guys around like rag dolls. I mean, it was like watching a giant amongst men out there, just the way he was just running over people.
This was the Alabama that a lot of people have grown accustomed to seeing Alabama be. I mean, that first half against Georgia, that obviously, really first quarter, that was obviously as close as you can possibly get to what we've seen in the peak Alabama years. But this game, man, this team flashes this, and it hadn't been consistent, but you're hoping that they can continue to build on this type of performance, because they did it for 4 quarters. You didn't see that against Georgia, and you saw it really with it being both sides of the football. Like, you're not exiting this game saying, what is going on with the offense? What's going on with the defense? You feel good about both sides of the football. They were playing complementary football. The offense was capitalizing when the defense was presenting them extra opportunities. Are there things that need to continue to get cleaned up? Sure. But I will say, just very, very impressive performance from this group. And Alabama fans should absolutely be thrilled, because if they continue to play like this, it's not going to be 41-13 against everybody, or 42-13, whatever the final score was. But this team can win a national championship, period.
Yeah, they have the talent. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use the promo code next round to double your initial deposit. NBA, NFL, college football, and basketball. Bama's going to have teams in the top 10 in both football and basketball, but we appreciate them. Kalen DeBoer is about to hit the stage, and he's going to talk about today's game. All the people waiting on hold, and anyone else that wants to get in and can't get in right now, we're going to take calls. We're in for the long haul. I've got the stash, and I've got the coffee. So that means that we're going to be here for a while. I'm going to soak this up, man. I'm soaking it up, Clint. I'm sorry. I'm soaking it up. Been ready for this, and I loved every minute of it. Every minute of it I loved.
There's one thing I really want to hear. There's actually several things I want to hear from Kalen DeBoer, but One thing I do want to hear is a lot of guys got banged up, right? I mean, Jaden Roberts going down. Thought it was interesting that like the very first snap, I guess here comes Kalen DeBoer. So we'll hear from him. Maybe we'll hear some injury updates.
Yeah. Somebody knocked over the microphone. I'm glad that wasn't me.
Yeah, you bet. Geez, I'm just super proud of the guys. The way they prepared, I think, led them to a place where had some pretty good confidence coming in. Just felt like the energy was there all week long, and as the week kind of progressed, you could just feel that we're on top of our game and understood what it would take to come here and play 4 quarters. I felt like that was probably most complete game we played. We've done that to some extent here the last two games against Missouri and tonight. So coming in a tough environment, just play after play, just staying the course, and then coming out in the third quarter, getting an interception. I think just going back down the field and playing good complementary team football. What was Jalen able to do? It just seemed like he could do whatever he wanted. Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's a lot of other guys that helped him, get to those spots where we're ahead of the chains. A lot of smaller gains that get you into positions where your whole playbook's available to you. And obviously he's got a superpower when it comes to running the football. You can see him not just be a guy that gets first downs, but finishes in the end zone. And so him doing what he did early on, just really got kind of the ball rolling there and, made the throws that were timely when needed. And, other guys continue to step up. Again, when we stay ahead of the chains and whole playbook's available, a lot we can do.
Charlie, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Just think, you think about the score and the touchdowns for us when we got in those moments and then holding to field goals and just being able to slowly extend the lead, putting pressure, on them every time you have a drive and, you're swapping field goals for touchdowns. You don't like that. But for us, I thought that was huge. And I love where our defense is at right now where, they might give up a play here and there, but they move on to the next one, go out and execute. They're getting, that mindset where 1 yard's too many. They didn't want to give up that touchdown at the end either, So a lot of pride right now on that side of the ball.
Yeah, on the defense, what was Kane's approach, game plan? What did he do effectively to limit and force Garrett Nussmeier to turnovers?
I think we had to just keep mixing up what they were seeing, and he's a great quarterback and, can kind of predetermine a little bit of where the ball might go. And I thought that, just over the course of the week, you could see the wrinkles that we continued to add a play off a play, just really be effective. And I think that was the case, again, just mixing up the defenses, mixing up the pressures, and, just making plays when we had a chance. There was a couple tackles we missed, a couple edges we gave up, but for the most part, I thought we were pretty sound, lined back up and played ball again.
Tony. Constantly again against the defense, the interception by Deontay in the second half, they drove down completed 2 fourth down conversions on that drive, and then he stops them. How big was that for momentum to kind of keep things going?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest plays there in the game. I mean, there's a lot of them, right? But that coming out of the locker room, that feeling where, hey, just don't give them a touchdown early or give them any points, and to take that wind out of their sails, get the takeaway, and then I believe we went right down the field, and got the points. Big swing of energy there and momentum.
Katie, all right.
We talked earlier this week about having a faster start on offense. You obviously scored on the first drive tonight. How confident were you with the plan for that first offensive drive and then plays with execution?
Yeah, there's plays that you're making, and I believe the completion on third down. Think about how big those are. Those plays that you forget about because it wasn't the touchdown, but those conversions right there are the ones that extend the drive and allows you to keep stacking plays and understand what you're seeing and verifying that it's what you really were preparing for, and feel really good about the plan. So with the weather and the elements, we knew that having a controlled run game was going to be really, really big. We popped some explosives with Jay Mill, but just continue to wear down those couple, 2 and 3 yard plays that we had early on turned into 5, 6, 7 as the game wore on.
Chase.
Staying with the weather, it was in the forecast all week long. Did y'all do any wet ball practice during the week or kind of anticipate it?
Yeah, we did, especially early in the week. Tuesday, felt good about, what I loved about our guys is that they're asking. We had just all kinds of ways to get water on the ball, get out on the arms, on the body, on the hands, and running backs and receivers just putting their hands back, asking, to get them wet, and making that challenge not just something where they're annoyed by it, actually asking for it, knowing full well that could be the case. And we were prepared for it. I feel, you look at really no turnovers, right? No turnovers on the game. Really, that's a big difference in the game. And our ball security, I thought, was on point.
All right, Cody.
I was flying around making plays, especially the strip sack after you guys got stuff in the fourth half.
Yeah, the takeaways, right? Deontay's takeaway, and then the strip sack, huge. Because it was disappointing that we didn't take advantage of where we were at on the field our drive before, but to get the ball back and be able to respond and get those points that we felt we missed on. Great play by him, and just getting the energy and the momentum back on our side.
A few more questions. Alex, go ahead.
What do you see from Nick Sheridan and Jalen Milroe, specifically preparation that would have led to it?
Yeah, it's just continue to be the word of the week for us was relentless, and relentless and when we, what we do on the field each and every play, but just relentless in our preparation. It just starts with simple things, just trying to go silent cadence and managing that and knowing that the checks were going to be, maybe down to 2 or 3 seconds. So if you had to, make a check or whatever it might be with the crowd noise, that it would be hard, that it would be easy. And they just stayed the course, kept buckling down, kept getting better and better. Going back to the bye week, kept getting better and better. On Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you could just see the momentum building. Really liked it. Yeah, liked what I saw. And I think we learned a lot from, the Tennessee game, and I was thinking otherwise maybe after the first play of the game, right, with a penalty there. But, I still felt in my heart and felt very comfortable that we would be in a much better situation. That was just kind of a one-off thing.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Coach, we talked about it on Monday about passing the first test with Mizzou, and now you passed another big test. What does that mean moving forward? What did your team show you tonight?
Yeah, you're just trying to stack days, and along with that, when you do that, there's a little bit of a swagger, and I really don't feel like we've ever been overconfident or complacent in any way. We haven't done enough here since we've been here to get to that point. So any of the things that have happened over the course of the season, I just attribute to, the things where maybe it's not gone as we'd hoped. I really attribute it just part of our growth, growth together and just stay in the course. And you can see slowly, the little things coming together. And we got to reload it all and do it all over again, and, do it this week, back it up, keep improving. But it does make you feel good to see the progress that maybe is happening in practice, but it doesn't show up in games. And now, it's starting to show up in the big moments.
Last question, Colin.
Do you feel like Jalen was rested and kind of breathed your day? It seemed like he had some life that he hadn't had in his legs a little bit tonight. And do you feel like he was, kind of rejuvenated, something to prove out there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, probably had some good vibes from a year ago too, and I think there's something about, we got him off to a fast start, and again, other guys did their jobs too to help him get in that spot. There's blocks that other guys were making. I think our line played physical. I think we won the trenches, both offensive line and defensive line, but blowing open some holes for him, everyone undoing their part, helped take the pressure off, the big moments where he's got to convert on a 3rd and extra long every drive. And when we were able to stay ahead of the chains, we could dink and dunk 3 yards, 5 yards, 8 yards, and then all of a sudden the big explosive play. But yeah, I felt like he was certainly running well tonight, wasn't he? So, he's fresh.
Thanks, Coach. We
Yeah,
got players
thank you.
coming in here, y'all.
All right, there you go. Audio was definitely low and out there. But that's just the way it goes. I loved hearing Coach DeBoer. We're going to take your calls. We got some calls lined up, Clint. Before we go back to the phone lines, and I want to remind you guys, when you get on, make your point, and then Clint and I will kind of chew on it and then get to the next call so we can move through some calls here tonight. But your thoughts on the press conference?
Are we not shocked that there were no injury questions?
There never is, though.
Well, I mean, I just feel like tonight, though, there was a lot of guys getting banged up, and I mean, Devontae Smith was one of them. The big one's Q Robinson. But I will say, just something I wanted to bring up earlier. Jahad Campbell is just dude. He's a wrecking ball, man. I mean, he's playing such good football right now. Day one talent, everything you want out of that position, he's giving it to you. You can rush the passer, move him around, stopping the run, sideline to sideline ability. Just a very fun player to watch. And hey, anybody that if you comment on the mustache, you deserve to go up on the to be shown, because that is one epic mustache, brother.
Yeah, Big Elmo didn't want me to do it. He talked me out of this a lot, and then I was like,
embrace the stash, man.
Love it, man. Love it.
Hey, I love it. Yeah, that's right.
All right, well, let's go back to the phone lines and look at that, man. Roll Tide, man. I can't even tell you guys. All right, let's get back to the phone lines. Talk about this game. Thank you guys all for holding on too as we talk Alabama. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, Mick, it's Ice, man.
Ice, baby. You got to love this one, Ice. You got to love this one right here, man.
Oh man, I love it so much because, I mean, I think I've voiced, I don't know how many times how much I hate LSU, to the point where I'm at the point where I would not be upset if we just traded Tulane for LSU. Like, that's how much I hate them.
Like in the SEC.
But,
like in the SEC.
Yeah, bring them back. Get rid of LSU. I don't care. I'm done. I can't stand LSU. I looked at the stat for the penalties, because that was something that stuck out to me. Was it really didn't even feel like we had 7 penalties this game.
It didn't.
Am I right when I say that?
1,000%.
Yeah, no, you're 1,000%. Clint says, I'm with you, man. I was just going to pull that up while we were sitting here talking. But yeah, I didn't feel like that either.
Yeah, no, it really did. It kind of shocked me when I was like, oh, we're at 7 penalties. Like, what? I mean, it was funny, too, because I remember we got that false start. The very first play, I'm like, oh, gosh, here we go again.
Yeah.
And you know what? They took that drive and they played clean the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, someone's got to get a doctor out there and check for third-degree burns out there for the entire Alabama football team, because they played with their asses on fire tonight.
Oh,
they did, and that was amazing. Holy cow, though, we took a lot of injuries tonight. Hopefully they can get back and get ready, for whenever we have, I guess, Oklahoma. I mean, not overlooking Mercer, but hopefully we can.
I'm overlooking them. They're
not
coming to town and beating us. Clint, they're not coming to town and beating us.
Yeah, make sure Saban didn't hear that. Yeah, okay, all right. Make sure Saban didn't hear it.
Man,
yeah, but and real quick, I wanted to say this because I'm sitting there like my dog's like sitting right next to me, and I got to give props to the composure that Kirk Herbstreit had tonight. I mean, you could tell. And I mean, my heart goes out to him and his family and all that. That's tough for him. But, getting back to what's making us happy is, like, holy cow, this team looks great. I'm really proud of them. And I want to leave on this one because I kind of want to hear what Clint has to say. I really wasn't too worried about the defense because I was actually impressed with what they did against Mizzou, because if you would have asked me personally, and I want to ask you guys, the way you saw this defense playing against Vandy and Tennessee and all that, if they had to make a goal line stand against anybody, do you really think they would have made it? So I'll leave on that. And roll Tide, a good win, and Mercer's on the books.
All right, brother. Thank you, Iceman. Great call, bro. And you call back again. Hey, everybody at once, thumbs up. That means roll Tide. And if you're not a subscriber to Cover Crimson, subscribe right now. Hit the bell so you know when we're doing shows. Clint, you heard him. Respond to Iceman.
I mean, I will say, going into this game, I was way more nervous about Jalen Milroe in the offense and the defense. I really like where the defense is trending right now. Now, granted, Keon Sabb is out, but I think Bray Hubbard's playing really good football. I mean, just continues to play really good football.
Always in the right spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Devontae Smith ends up going down. Q Robinson. There's some injuries. And you already in a transfer portal era, the depth, you never really want to have to be working into that depth. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. But just they're starting to figure out what Kane Womack is looking for, how his defense operates on more of a general scale, and then how they fit in as individual pieces. And we've kind of said this, as they get more comfortable in their own roles and how they fit, this, things are going to start to come together and it's going to start to look a little better. Now, granted, there's sometimes a bend but don't break mentality. Sometimes you are going to give up points, but it's more, being very opportunistic. You did see, like Nussmeier, there were some times where he was escaping, making some plays on the move that the guys could get there, but they couldn't bring him down. I do think there was a couple of missed holding calls. I'm not going to be picky about that, but that, I think some of that, I think they also called some stuff, so you can't complain about it too much. But I will say, just their ability to continuously force turnovers is really going to help if this offense continues to play like it played tonight, because if you're playing a much better football team and you're trying to create separation, there's some scoring going on. If you got a defense that knows how to take the football away, you can generate some extra possessions for your offense. You can create separation, and just, I can't say enough good things about how much this defense has progressed, because there for a while it was looking really rough, but I think they're starting to figure things out.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, back to the phone lines again. And remember, you guys make your points. We'll chew on it and get to another call. And I know there's a lot of you that want to get in here tonight. So roll tide, and thank you for being part of the show. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, man, this is Colt from Tuscaloosa again.
Colt from Tuscaloosa. Roll tide, man.
Roll tide, man. Hey, I know I need to be quick and get to the point, but I feel like this Alabama teams came back from the first quarter of Georgia, or first half of Georgia, and now we're all back again because, the past two games have been like shutouts almost.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. And by the way, I love your mustache, man.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
I just had to add it in. I've been watching you on screen thinking about your mustache.
I've been wanting to
That's
do
awesome.
this for a while. I've been wanting to do the stash for a while. I knew you guys were going to judge me, but I was doing it anyway. So.
Oh, no, man, it looks great.
You spent a little time in Nashville for the Gating and Grilling segment of the tailgate show, and that, this is the Nashville look right now, Clint. And Colt, you got to have the mustache and a little bit of hair back here. That's what everybody's doing in Music City. Colt, what do you think, man? I mean, has Alabama turned the corner? I mean, are we turning the corner right now?
Yeah, I think we turned the corner. I think it just took us a little adjusting to, with the new coaches and the new staff and all. And I think they kind of found the rhythm now. So I got a lot of faith in what's coming the next few games, and hopefully the playoff too.
Yeah, me too, man. All winnable games. All winnable games.
All winnable.
I mean, going to Oklahoma is
sir.
not going to be easy. I mean, they got to bring the same intensity. But it was nice seeing them empty out Tiger Stadium like that. Big Bad Tiger Stadium. Death Valley. It's where everybody goes to die. They were 15-0 under Brian Kelly at night in Death Valley until today.
Until today. Alabama showed them up.
Well, anything else you want to add, Colt?
No, man, just a big roll tide, and thanks for having me on the line, and I ain't gonna hold y'all up anymore. I just like getting on here and talking to you.
Hey, it's great to hear from you, brother. Thank you so much, and roll tide. Roll tide, man. Have a great night in Tuscaloosa for all of us. Celebrate.
All right, yes, sir, man.
Celebrate.
Thank you.
All right, take care. All right, let's go back to the phone line again and get right back at you guys, because I know you guys want to get on and talk. Who's this and where you calling from?
What up? Big Nate Dog from Kentucky.
Nate! Man, you gotta be sipping on something smooth tonight, man.
I got that bourbon out.
You got to. I might have to get me a Blanton's. I got a Blanton's right back there. Kentucky's finest.
Yeah, that's it, man. You know it.
Let me just, while you're talking,
Hey.
I'm gonna grab the bottle.
That daggone right. I like it. Hey, listen. Before I get going, Mick, you got to get down to Keeneland, man.
You know what? I'm going to tell you a story, man. The guy that was like my dad growing up is a priest, and he is big into horse racing. He named the horse Russian Falls, came in second in the Kentucky Derby. Father Carl, and man, he wants to go to Keeneland with me, take me down there, and I told him, I said I'll do it. So we're talking about going in. I guess next time around. It's done for this year, right? Or is it not done yet?
No, the fall meet's done, but spring meet. Yep, in the spring, dude.
Yeah,
you gotta get up.
I'd love to, man. He goes to he's friends with a lot of the owners. Anybody in Boca, Florida, you go by an Ascension Catholic and tell them I sent you. Take a little bourbon with
That's awesome, man.
No, I love horse racing. I do.
Daggone right. Hey, listen, and I'll be quick. I know you got a lot of calls to get to, man, but seeing that stadium empty out like a funeral home, man, was priceless. And, man, Brian Kelly's just so unlikable. It's always fun to beat his tail.
I love that.
And a quick question for you. What do you think, man, when he put his hands on the official like that?
Nah, probably never a good idea. Never a good idea.
I couldn't
hold
believe
on to that one. You hold on to that when Nate's off. You comment on it, but never a good idea, man. I mean, it's never a good idea to put your hands on anybody in that kind of situation. I know you're frustrated. He looked like when the ass whooping was coming down on him. I mean, he looked like he was going to wear it, because remember, he took this job to beat Alabama, and they got lucky when they beat Alabama the last time. I thought Alabama played, but I thought that the Bill O'Brien offense in that game was awful. The play calling was boring, and we let them have that one. Took care of last year's game. Was awesome. Two great quarterbacks, two great offenses, and Milroe kind of stole the show. And then today, Milroe just went into Death Valley and burnt the place down. Burnt it down.
He did, man. Loved every minute of it. Hey, listen. Love you, man. Big Lamb. Appreciate y'all. Roll damn Tide, brother.
Roll Tide, man. Roll Tide right at you, bro. Thank you so much for calling in, Nate. And you're forcing me to drink tonight. And it's a good force, because when you got the Blantons, Clint, you can't be afraid to crack it open when you empty out Tiger Stadium. But what'd you think about the official?
I couldn't believe. I mean, I guess he played it off pretty well. I don't even know if the ref fully knew what happened, but I mean, he clearly, I don't know what he was trying to do. Like, at first, I thought he was kind of trying to point past him, but he just rested his hand on his neck. I don't know. It was so weird, but I didn't understand a lot of Brian Kelly's gripes. Like, sometimes, I mean, you understand it, and there are things to get really animated about, and sometimes it is a little bit questionable. Coaches are going to obviously take their guy's side, but it's like, I mean, I didn't understand the LSU fans throwing the bottles on the field after the face mask. I mean, it was, unless they were upset with the player for grabbing the face mask. I mean, it was clearly a face mask. And I mean, that, I don't know. The whole thing was, there were some weird moments. Brian Kelly getting really upset about that didn't make any sense, but I guess he's fighting for his team. His team wasn't doing very well. But this, once again, man, this was, I keep thinking more and more about it, and there's just so many things that you point to, and just the play and the confidence of Jalen Milroe, the offensive line showing a lot of improvement, the defense showing improvement, cleaning up a lot of the penalties, playing more disciplined football, playing more complimentary football, just all of the gripes that we've had about this Alabama team over the last few weeks. I was hoping following the bye week, some of that would get cleaned up. Pretty much there's not a whole lot that didn't get cleaned up in this game. Now, granted, you just gotta, that's got to continue. It can't be a 1 week type of thing, but you have to be encouraged by it.
And we didn't get the Tennessee officiating either. It was pretty even. Like, you're not sitting there like going, there missed some calls here and there, but it was pretty even. And I think that's the thing that you really want. when you go to these road games, and then all of a sudden every single call is going against you. So, no, I loved it. All right, back to the phone lines again. Can't wait to talk to you guys. Like and subscribe too, guys. Give us a thumbs up as you hang. Who's this and where you calling from?
Well, I'm giving a thumbs up. I couldn't tell, though. Is this Mick Gillispie or Morgan Wallace? I'm watching you on YouTube here, and I really just I don't know. But, hey, real quick, I got to give up to Nate. He made us pull out some Woodford just to cheers the celebration. So we got some Woodford. We're cheersing Nate with some whiskey as well as you all. But, hey, roll tide, Mick. It's Phil over,
Oh, I
you know
know Phil from San Fran, brother. Good. And really my brother, man. Because I mean, me and you go, we go way back to college days, Clint. We go way back to college days. Phil got me my job at Boo Radley's, the bar I bartended at. So,
did you rock a stash back then?
Oh,
I couldn't.
We've got remember the guns down?
Yeah.
We've got some guns down days. You remember those ones?
You're talking about the 06 Cotton Bowl. That was like such a big deal for us that year because we were in Tuscaloosa for some lean time.
Brown's meat was not down.
Well, man, let me ask you. I mean, it's good to talk to you, by the way, and roll tide, man. It was a shellacking, like all shellackings, and I loved it. What did you think? What was your favorite part of the game? And can we continue this? This is the other thing is, can we continue? Can we bring this with us to the next place, Oklahoma? The next place.
First of all,
Iron Bowl.
Was there anything better than listening to the television? If you listen real closely at the start of the fourth quarter, you hear the song "Na Na Na Na." Yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Good. And I'm like, wait, is that our fan?
Yeah.
And the fact that you could hear that on the television, that just was icing on the cake. I will say I was a little disappointed that we let them score that touchdown at the end, but that's okay. What is Kelly doing, leaving Nuts in there? And the kid's banged up. But anyway, let me tell you, a lot of MVPs. Do I think we've turned a corner? Yes. I thought maybe we did 2 weeks ago at Missouri. Yes, they were banged up, but I liked what I saw, and you shut out an SEC team that's ranked.
Mm-hmm.
I liked what I saw, but I mean, look, we knew Jalen was capable of what he did tonight.
Right.
But what I was quite impressed with, the offensive line, that environment, the loud, the rain, all of that. And I don't know, maybe we had 2 false starts, maybe more, a couple more, but the fact that they did it, one of the soldiers goes down, next man up gets in there, and we really got a lot of running game going, which was impressive. And then the defense, actually, you know what? I don't want to talk about the defense because we talk about being brothers. I got someone here that wants to talk to you. Gillispie, it's the better looking Hastings here.
Look at this.
And I gotta say, love the Clint Lamb. Love my Clint Lamb as well. But everyone wants to point to the first half of Georgia about the best we've looked all year, blah, blah, blah. That was 2015 Bama defense. The way we attacked, the aggression we played with. I've waited to see that defense for so long, and I love the way the defensive line, the linebackers attack. That was awesome to me tonight. I felt like I'm tired of hearing about the first half of Georgia. That to me was our manifesto for the year. Our defense stepped up. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say.
Well, so it's great to hear from you. I mean, anytime you get both Hastings brothers on one call, I mean, that is when you know that you've done something fantastic out in San Francisco. I mean, what was your thought? I mean, do you think that this team is going, I mean, are we going to be able to run the table?
Well, my thought going into today was what's going to happen today, because this team hadn't proved going into today that we could handle that kind of environment, that kind of road environment, difficult situations, but we did it. So now I think the sky's the limit. Like, I think we can do it all. It's up to us now. Like, going into today, I didn't know, because this year's team hadn't shown us, hasn't proved that we can handle an environment like that, but we did it. So now I guess, Phil, I mean, from one of the things that we talked about before kickoff was, oh gosh, I really don't want to win the coin flip and take the ball, or I just don't want to take the ball. I just didn't feel comfortable in that environment.
And I was so impressed with the play calling early in the game and just the different schemes that we were throwing out them. It was, first of all, to go down the field and to score on the first drive, that was very impressive. And right away, you knew that Jalen was back to being Jalen.
Right.
And it honestly, it was a little bit of like LSU last year. I mean, that's where we really saw, Ole Miss last year, Jalen started to show out, but that LSU game last year was when it was like, wow, this kid is special. And he did it again tonight. But the play calling from the offensive coordinator standpoint, and then the defense just swarming the ball, I can't give one MVP. It's an entire team.
Yeah.
And what they did tonight, I think, yes, we've turned a corner and we're marching, but we can't take anything lightly. And I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. One, like Travis said, it's about tonight. Okay. 24 hours. And then we focus on that next opponent. And it has to be that each and every night, because we're just not, nobody's that good, but we're not that good to just throw the cleats and the helmets on the field and say we're Alabama.
Right. We got to play with the chip on our shoulder. And that's what happened, man. This team, they gave it away to Tennessee. I didn't think the better team won, but Tennessee was the team that wanted it more. And I feel like that has really motivated Alabama, because they've looked like the team since then that wants it. They look like the team now that's saying, hey, our back's up against the wall and we're coming out swinging. And it's exciting. But you're right, man. Every game's different. And you Mercer's, a good team for their division. You're going to have better players at every position, but you still got to go out there and do it. And then you go to Oklahoma, and that's a tough place. Oklahoma's very proud, like Alabama. They have great players like Alabama. And then we come back, and those turds from down in Lee County are going to be in town. And, look, you know how that always
I'm
goes,
hoping we serve them a nice turkey. Yeah, no, you're right. And one of the other things that I saw tonight was a very passionate and emotional Coach DeBoer.
Yes.
And he's always very happy-go-lucky. And there were some times tonight that, I'm not going to lie, he lost his shit.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I want to see that.
Yeah.
And that passion, that fire was there, and the whole team had it. And that's why I just feel like there's something different. Someone texted me and said, what do you feel about today's game? And I was like, I don't know.
Me neither.
Well, I would say that since that last play last week or 2 weeks ago against Missouri, when the defense wanted to stay on the field to get the shutout, I personally, again, anything can happen in the next 3-4 weeks in the playoffs. I thought that changed everything. Maybe I'm a little over aggressive, but I thought that changed the whole vibe of this program. I thought that changed a lot, and then it had to be tonight, and tonight happened. So I feel really good.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. Well, it's Phil and Travis, the Hastings brothers, on the same call. That's a first time for the Cover Crimson post-game show. That's how we celebrate. You guys drinking some nice Woodford over there in the Bay Area. What a night, man.
Listen, we've even got little Hastings here. My son's listening in and sitting right next beside us.
What's up, man? Is he a Bama
Hey, roll
fan?
Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, buddy. Roll Tide.
Yeah.
What jersey are you wearing right now?
Derrick Henry.
Oh,
he's here. He's listening. He's excited to see you in a few weeks. We're going to come visit you at Industry and get to hang out a little bit. But, hey, y'all keep rocking. You got a great show. The both of you are just bringing it every week. And whether it's a win or a loss, I just love listening to y'all. And it's even better, though, when it's a win and the whiskey is flowing.
Yeah,
Roll Tide, boys. I love Clint Lamb, too. I'm a huge Clint Lamb guy. Obviously, Mick Stein, but
forget about me. Well, we'll listen to what Clint has to say. And, guys, Roll Tide, man. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Love you guys.
Roll Tide, boys.
See you now. All right, Clint, we heard from a whole family of Hastings. It was the brothers, and then all of a sudden Ethan pops on. It's a whole family of them guys. Roll Tide out in California, man.
I bet you have a hell of a time with those boys. They seem like a fun group. We appreciate them calling in, man. I will say, just there have been some rough patches. There really has. But at the same time, it's all about how are you progressing? If it's the same issues that continue to creep up, that's where it becomes a major concern. And just because you got it fixed and you aligned on things in one game doesn't mean that that's going to continue. you've got to continue to put in the work. You can't get big headed. You can't accept complacency. Everybody's going to be singing your praises. Now Georgia goes down, Miami goes down. Alabama's certainly going to be moving up, and I guarantee you, a lot of people are going to be talking about this Alabama team and saying, hey, they got a chance to win the national championship. They can be that good, because when they play like they did tonight, they are good enough. They are one of the best teams in college football. But they can't let that get to their heads, because it's all about, hey, we did it, and we did it for 4 quarters. That's great, but we got to find consistency on a week-to-week basis. We've done it now. We've seen Alabama do it, really the last 2 games for the most part. But in Missouri got themselves a win today, so they're going to remain in the top 25. That's another strong win.
Really?
Yeah, they beat Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And that was just one of the worst quarterback duel performances. I mean, I was obviously watching Alabama LSU, but I always try to keep an eye on the other SEC games when I can, and I was trying to watch a little bit of it. It was not good stuff, but just you got to keep rolling, you got to keep pushing forward. But with where Alabama fans felt like this team was at after that rough 3.5 game stretch, you start to see some signs of life against Missouri. Then you see this game against LSU, and you got to feel encouraged by it.
10 for 13 on third downs, 420 yards. Bama's offense was just, killing it on the ground with 311 yards in that rain. They threw for 109, but the weather definitely played a factor in this, and also Bama's ability to run the ball, which they really had to do. They're going to have to run the ball if they're going to win a national championship. 7 of 74 penalties for Alabama, 7 for 65 for LSU. Tigers were 6 of 14 on third, 2 of 3 on fourth. They had 343 yards, 239 of those passing, only 104 rushing. And Bama held Garrett Nussmeier in check, but it was the turnovers. Bama doing it with the turnovers, 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery, all of those big. They cashed in on them. They were disciplined. I felt like that was one of the keys that I thought that this team had to do. They looked disciplined. They looked focused. They were great on third down. Offensively, one of their best nights of the year. And Jalen Milroe ran. Those are the 3 things that I said all week, the last 2 weeks, that this team needed to do. And they get an A+ on each one of those, accomplishing this win. All right, let's go back to the phone lines again. I know you've been holding for a while, so let's get you on. Who's this and where you calling from?
What's up, Mick? This is Heath from Huntsville. Roll Tide, brother.
Hey, Roll Tide, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. Hey, Candy wants to say something to you.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide, man. It was great seeing you guys.
Yes, sir. You too, man. It was great meeting you. Hey, I tell you what, it's been an amazing week from Tuesday all the way till today. Just glorious. We were actually, we're in Destin right now, and we were at a place called AJ's, and it was probably, if I had to guess, somewhere between 75 to 100 people in there. And not only did Alabama clear out the stadium in Death Valley, they cleared out the bar at AJ's. Like, all the LSU fans just left, man.
Beat it.
It was an amazing night.
Well, man, I got to tell you guys, first off, it was great to meet you at the tailgate show. And Clint, you weren't there, but Heath bought us bushwhackers, and they had screwball floaters, and we had a great time and did the show, and it was honestly, like, Floribama is a great place, man. It's
oh man,
love that place.
Amazing. And matter of fact, Candy told me, if you're calling Mick tonight, you can't have a floater. So I haven't had any floaters tonight.
She's trying to watch out for you, man. Those things are so strong, man. Those like,
oh man, it's amazing.
Yeah, I had the, I was drinking the beers, and then I had that, and I was like, woo, felt that thing, man.
Over here, we went to somewhere, and she ordered a bucket of something, and it was like, oh man, that was at breakfast. I needed 3 naps after that before I got ready for the game. But I'm just kidding. No, hey man, I was going to tell you, I went back and watched several of the games, and you and Clint can go back and look at them. but I believe you were spot on as far as like Milroe leading up, the past couple of games where he was injured. And if you go back, I think it was the first possession of the South Carolina game, and when you see him, he goes down. He's pulling on his shoulder pads around the neck area. One pad's up, and I'm wondering from South Carolina, from the end of that game up until today, if he didn't have maybe like a deep tissue contusion or something. Something was off. And then tonight, man, he just showed out, and it was amazing.
It could be it. I mean, everybody's talked me out of thinking that Milroe's hurt. And I've got people that are pretty close to the program, but I don't know. I mean, he just you know what? He has not looked the way that he looked at the beginning of the season, the last few games until tonight. And we saw it. I mean, he busted that first run for a touchdown where he's just like kind of cuts through the line. He was waiting on the running back, and then he just zips right through everybody. And I'm like, okay, shit, this guy's back, man. And I knew they were in trouble from that point on.
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, it was so funny. We're out there. I don't know if you've been to Destin to the boardwalk area, but we're there at AJ's, and there was a guy from there's a lot of Bama people there, and then one of the guys, older gentleman from Nashville, he was and every time something went good, man, we were like high five, and then probably second quarter, no more high fives for him. He's like, man, you're killing my hand, man. Fist bumps from now on. I was
like, the story's this, Heath, is I sat next to I tell Coker this all the time. When his national championship game, I sat in between Mike Johnson and Baron Huber, and those guys are they both were on the 2009 championship team, and they're both very aggressive fans when we're doing well, and I mean like big hands, and they're slapping you on the back, and they're grabbing your neck, and you know what I mean, like they're just it's and by the time that game was in the fourth quarter, I would just get away when we scored, bounce down the aisle, because I didn't want to celebrate with those two anymore. So when you listen to the All-American report with Mike, I bring it up occasionally. And then I've told Coker, because every time Coker's like, well, I threw this pass and I'm laying on the ground and everybody's cheering. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm getting pounded by my own friends. Like doing this. Like, no, you're a lot bigger than me, guys.
That's what probably LSU felt like tonight. They just kept getting pounded. It was a great game. But, hey, one thing before I get off of here, I was going to say I'm going to do an abbreviated version of Rammer Jammer, because I don't hear anybody saying Rammer Jammer on here. It's like, instead of saying it 3 times, it's like, hey, Tigers, we just beat the hell out of you. Rammer Jammer, yellow hammer, give them hell, Alabama.
Roll Tide, Heath. That's a way to end it, brother.
Roll Tide, brother.
Roll Tide, man. Come see us again.
Roll Tide.
Come see us again, man. Love you, brother. Thank you. All right, Clint, you talk, and we're going to go back to the phone lines. But Heath, great dude. Saw him at the Floribama, and all of you guys that come and visit us, we'll be at Innisfree recording the Tailgate show next Friday afternoon. Clint, you're invited. Coker will be there. But it's great, man. I mean, all you guys that hang out with us, that are a part of this, thank you so much. I mean, it really is a really fun thing to be able to connect with you guys, and you guys connect with the show and be part of this whole community. So and make sure that you guys give us a thumbs up. That's a way of saying Roll Tide, but we appreciate all of you guys for hanging out with us.
Yeah, I want to get to David Sprinkles. Shout out for James Burnett, man.
Hey, by the way, David was at the Floribama too.
Hey,
Roll Tide. And he has a mustache, so
he's bringing the heat in the comment.
He's got the pencil thin mustache, though, a little bit like Jimmy Buffett sang about. You know those?
Oh yeah. Oh, we need to be giving James Burnett some praise, man. He sent that second punt to the moon. The first one obviously was after, the false start or whatever. I forgot what it was, but it put him back out of back out of field goal range. They had to punt the football, so obviously it wasn't going to be a long one. He downed that one at like I think the 10-yard line, and then he sent that second punt to the moon, man. And when you start looking at, we've given Jahad Campbell praise. Obviously, he led the team in tackles with 12. He had 3 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, a pass breakup, a quarterback hurry, a forced fumble. The guy was just absolutely everywhere, so he deserved praise. But I also want to give the other off-ball linebacker, Deontay Lawson, a ton of credit. I thought he played a phenomenal game, man.
How about
The
that
interception,
man?
I mean, it was beautiful. Someone on
Oh.
Twitter said it felt very Mac Wilson, in the end zone-esque, and I completely agree. He went up there and he got it. But it wasn't just that play. I just thought on a snap-in, snap-out basis, he played really good football. I thought that Deshaun Jones, when Devontae Smith went down in Husky, the Wake Forest transfer came in and replaced him, and I thought he was very physical, did some good things in coverage, but that guy, you could just tell that he wanted it. The physicality that Devontae Smith brings to that position, I thought Deshaun Jones did a really good job of kind of stepping up in that type of role. And it makes a lot of sense. He was kind of like the number 4 perimeter cornerback before, and now you're seeing him kind of be the number 2 Husky. You're still seeing some Red Morgan, obviously, but we now understand why Deshaun Jones has made the move to Husky, because he's doing some really good things there. So just a couple of guys that I wanted to kind of give a shout out to. But David, I thought bringing up James Burnip to start that off, I thought was certainly a good one to start on.
Hey, Seth, thank you, man. Dunaway. We got to get Dunaway. He was at the game tonight. I wonder if he wants to jump on. I'd love to hear what he says. I love seeing us clear out the stadium. But let's go back to the phone lines again and talk, to you guys and see what you thought about Alabama's 42-13 win. Who's this and where you calling from?
Yo, what's up, guys? This is Big John.
Big
Roll
John,
Tide.
what's up, dude?
Yeah,
John.
man. How y'all doing?
We're good, man.
Yeah, man. I tell you what a team win. I mean, it was a complete game on both sides of the ball. Coach talks about that middle 8 in the game, and not to give them any points going into that, and then to come out and then have that big drive and get the interception and then turn around and score. I thought that was huge. I mean, I thought that just kind of, I don't want to say sealed the game, but I mean, that was just a big, big moment in the game. So, man, yeah, I was proud of the team.
Big John, when we were up on Georgia, we let them back in the game, right? We let them back in the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I almost feel like that second half caused a lot of bad momentum moving forward. Today, they didn't let them back in the game. The ass kicking started at the beginning of the game, and they had to fight for that trash touchdown that they got in the last seconds of the game. Like, there was no let up.
Right.
LSU scored. Kyron Lacy's a great player. He made a great play at the end. But you know what? They from pillar to post, they took care of business.
Yep, you're right. Yeah, and that's, going into the game, that's what I was worried about, because, at times our offense would play well, then defense wouldn't. And then, vice versa. Like you guys always say, like complementary football. I felt like we had that tonight. So I was real excited. Coach, the offense, defense, I mean, they called a great game. I felt we were lacking that at times throughout these last couple games. It was really exciting, to watch and see. And, I was really proud of the guys and before them, because, you could tell that they were excited too. So, yeah, it was a great team win. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, man. Anything else, Big John?
No, man, just, we got 3 games left in this season, and, of course they're all winnable games. So I'm looking for us to keep developing and, hopefully get in this postseason and do some damage there too.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Great call. As always, awesome to hear from you. Roll Tide, brother.
Yeah, y'all too, man. Roll Tide.
I love to hear from you guys that make it a regular occurrence, jumping on and talking to us. I got Brian Kelly's press conference queued up. We're going to listen to some of that before we get off here, Clint. But let's just kind of chew on the stats a little bit, talk about the game some, and kind of get into that. there's the individual game stats for Alabama.
I wanted to talk about something real quick,
Yeah,
just that caught my eye, and we've already kind of hinted at it, but I just want to explain to people, what it is that I'm talking about. First of all, 3 turnovers by LSU, 3 touchdown drives following that from Alabama, and let's go over them.
Yeah.
So the first one was a fumble. Immediately after, 3 plays, 32 yards, touchdown from Alabama. Interception to start the second half from LSU. That was absolutely huge. I mean, the fact that we're driving down the field, they were really setting the tone for how the second half was going to look. You had the interception, and that was from Deontay Lawson. It was an incredible interception, really changed the momentum of the game. In fact, I would say that was the play of the game. I mean, when you talk about what Alabama was doing up to that point, very much could have put it in a position where they could continue to dominate and really set the tone for Alabama in the second half. But they immediately after that interception go 8 plays, 80 yards, score a touchdown, 3.5 minutes off the clock, and then later on the second interception, 9 plays, 47 yards, and a touchdown. And I loved that aspect of it. That is absolutely huge. That's something that we have not seen. And when you talk about an Alabama defense that can force turnovers, if you got an offense that can capitalize and take advantage, that is a very dangerous football team. Secondly, I love the aggression. There was a punt that LSU did in the first half, and it was like a 28-yard return by Ryan Williams. I loved the fact that after that big return, they get the football at about midfield. They were super aggressive on first down. They took a shot play. They didn't connect on it, but I give them a lot of credit because a lot of times when they put themselves in that position, it's been, throw on first down, run on second down, or run on first down, throw on second down, depending on what was happening. And it was very predictable, very vanilla. You saw the aggressiveness. I loved that approach. I certainly think that's something that they should continue moving forward.
Yeah, I loved it too, man. I mean, this was kind of like all of the things that you looked at, and they were knocking them all out. Do a little of this, do a little of that, do a little bit. The intensity was there, the focus, the game plan, the offensive game plan was great. I love that. I mean, Milroe running the ball is the difference. He's got to run the ball because it changes the way that you defend him. And he ran the ball with purpose today. He looked fast. LSU's caught the best Milroe 2 years in a row. And if they would have played the Milroe that we saw before the break, who knows? But they're getting a fresh Milroe, where it gets a week to just recover and then another week, and he's so big and strong, man. But 12 of 18 passes, passing 109 yards. There were some drops in there. I mean, but I thought he was pretty accurate for the most part. Obviously running the ball was a great day for him. I mean, 12 of 185. And the thing I love about him the most is that he follows blocks better than the running backs. But how about Jam Miller catching so many passes out of the backfield? 5 catches, 50 yards. It really, that was another thing that LSU just didn't have an answer for, was Milroe throwing the ball to Jam Miller.
Yeah, that's a great point. And just I love how, the running backs, they're not always going to have a lot of success in the run game. We just haven't seen it this year. I thought the offensive line was way more effective than the numbers would indicate outside of Jalen Milroe. Like, obviously, when you look 6.5 yards per carry as a team, 6 rushing touchdowns, like that's going to look really, really impressive. But when you actually start looking at the running back numbers, and tomorrow more people will start bringing this up. We'll go ahead and bring it up tonight. Nothing overly impressive from a production standpoint on the ground from Jam Miller or Justice Haynes. But anybody that watched that game, and I know if you're on here right now, you watched it, you know that they looked a little bit different when they needed short yardage gains or conversions. They were getting it. They were getting a pretty consistent push. You saw guys, as far as running through contact, both Justice Haynes and Jam Miller. Did Justice Haynes score on that touchdown? I don't really know. Kind of looked like maybe from an angle his elbow might have been down, but they called it a touchdown, so we aren't going to forget it.
Yeah, but you couldn't tell. I know that the TV broadcast said that he didn't get in there, but you couldn't tell where the ball was when his arm hit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like definitively to call
definitively. It felt a little short, but yeah, I understand kind of their reasoning for calling it the way that they did. But I just want people to understand it was the running backs and how they're utilized it's not only what they will provide from a run game perspective, but also they do a very good job of utilizing their abilities in space by getting them the football in the passing game. And I think that's absolutely huge. Like Justice Haynes only had one catch tonight, but I mean, it went for 9 yards. That's pretty good. But Jam Miller being a big part of the passing game, obviously led the team in targets with 5. Next highest was only 3. And that was a 3-way tie with Ryan Williams, Kendrick Law, and Jeremy Bernard.
Right.
So Miller, I mean, he got a lot of his worth in the passing game, and you know, that's just sometimes the run game, the short passing game to those guys is going to be an extension of their run game. And I thought they did a very good job of mixing things up while also getting Jam and Justice, 21 carries collectively, 10.5 average apiece. That's not bad. That's pretty decent workload given how, well Jalen Milroe was producing on the ground.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. You want to listen to a little bit of Brian Kelly? Well, let's go back to the phone lines again. Let's go to the phone, and then we're going to play Brian Kelly before we get off here. But who's this and where you calling from?
It's Timmons from Jasper, Alabama, right here in Pie Factory.
Timmons.
What's up, brother?
Good to see you, brother. Yeah, tell everyone in the Pie Factory that I said Roll Tide.
I will. I see Corey out there. I see Jake and Mike Am. All good. Man, great game, right?
Oh yeah.
We talked about it earlier this week. How did you feel about it? How did I feel about it? 50-50. It kind of worked out that way.
Dude, I'll be honest with you guys, and I'll tell you this, Timmons, and I'm going to tell you this, Clint. I sent Jake Coker a message today. I'm going to read it to you guys just because I don't want to get anything wrong on here. I want to get all of the stuff I said exactly right. I don't feel good about this game. Normally means we win.
That's it.
And
that's it exactly. But
I know it.
Holy crap.
But
it just turned out to be a complete game by Alabama. And I wasn't expecting it, but I'm so happy that it turned out to be a complete game. And man, where do we go from here? Do you think they can keep this momentum?
Dude, I think they're going to have to. If they're going to make the playoff, they're going to have to take care of this next week against Mercer. You can use, I'm sorry, but it's a game that you can rest some guys and get some guys healthy, and you don't want to not take your opponent seriously. But going into the last 2 games at Oklahoma, and then you play Auburn. You've got to try to be as healthy as possible for those last 2 games. And it's such a different Iron Bowl because normally this Mercer game would be the week before the Iron Bowl where you could kind of use it to heal up and everything. But both us and Auburn have tough games the week before now, which is kind of the nature of where we are with the new SEC.
I had my thoughts together way before I called this, made this phone call. But hell, I'm so happy that it really worked out. To see the whole team come together, a full performance by the defense and the offense, and Roll Tide.
Hey, Roll Tide, Timmons, man, and that's Big Elmo's hangout. You and me both, and everyone on here misses him so much. So tell everybody at the Pie Factory to pour a little bit out for our brother, and great to hear from you, man.
Will do, man. Y'all have a good night.
Roll Tide, man. Timmons, awesome dude. And
Roll Tide.
Love you, brother. Great. Thanks for calling in and being part of the show tonight at the Pie Factory. And we're thinking about doing one of the tailgate shows from there in honor of Brett. So maybe postseason tailgate show. So you guys don't be surprised if we don't end up there for one of these shows after the regular season, because we got this week we're at Innisfree. The next Oklahoma game we're at Pearl River. Then we're back at Innisfree for the Iron Bowl, and then the next game probably.
Nick, I don't know that the rest of the sports world can handle if Alabama continues to trend in this direction on the football front, on top of the fact that they're ranked number 2 currently on the basketball front, and looking as deep as they are. I really don't. If you're an Alabama fan, I mean, this has got to continue. It's not automatic, but man, this could be a real fun couple of months coming up. So I'm looking forward to it, man. It just, I feel like everybody in the comments and everybody that's called in, I will be 100% honest. Did I see a potential blowout coming?
No.
Not to this extent, no. I really thought that if Jalen Milroe was on his game, if he could recapture some of that rushing ability, the fact that Marcel Reed had a lot of success, Lenore Sellers, if you've got problems with those guys as far as containing them in their legs, you're going to have a major problem with Jalen Milroe when he's both running with confidence, he's running with certainty, and he's, 100% healthy. And just, I feel like tonight you got that version of Milroe. You got, the opportunistic defense. You got everything that you could have possibly wanted, other than some, the explosives, like they're just out of range, guys. I mean, I know that probably, the nitpickers are probably going to look at some of those and say, man, what's the problem here? We haven't really been seeing the explosive downfield plays. You didn't need them. I mean, 42 points, just complete domination, complimentary football. We've talked about it a bunch. I mean, I've said it a bunch tonight, but just, man, it can't stress enough how big this win was for Alabama from a confidence standpoint, you're looking at how the team's starting to come together, and just how they won with Jalen Milroe's legs, with the running backs having a lot more success than people realize, the short passing game to those guys, letting them pick up 9 yards, 7 yards, all these things, favorable second down situations, converting on third and shorts, doing all those things, how much that helps out your defense. I don't think it's a coincidence that you see that type of performance from your offense where they can sustain some drives and keep the defense off the field. And the defense for 4 whole quarters looked really, really impressive. I just can't be more impressed with these guys.
All right, before you get off, Clint, let's do our game balls.
Ooh, okay. You want me to start? You want to start? And which side of the football?
Start defense.
Start with the defense. Game ball. I mean, do I pick the obvious here? Do I go Jahad Campbell? Led the team in tackles. Had 3 tackles for loss. Had the 1.5 sacks. The forced fumble. The quarterback hurry. The pass deflection. The guy was everywhere.
4 of him out there.
It really felt that way. They were doing what they've been doing with him. He was playing a lot of off-ball linebacker. They were giving him some edge opportunities. He was doing some really, really good things. And guys, that's a really good LSU offensive line too, especially those tackles. They were allowing Jahad Campbell to line up out there on the edge, and he was winning against, some future potential first-round draft picks. And so I don't want that to be overlooked. I think there are a lot of guys on defense, some unsung heroes maybe that you could mention that I would typically go that route because everybody's going to be talking about Jahad Campbell, but just what we saw out of him, guys, it's a very special performance. He got criticized there for a little while during that rough stretch, especially against Vanderbilt, was kind of playing timid, like uncertain of what he was supposed to be doing. Tonight he played confident, and I'm telling you, he's a force to be reckoned with. He definitely deserves a game ball, in my opinion.
All right, I'm giving mine to Malachi Moore. And we were hard on Malachi because, the way that the Vanderbilt game ended, and all he's done is just bust his ass week after week and keep proving that that DeBoer made the right decision, not taking the C off of his chest. You have a bad moment, and then I watch game day, and I see the story about the little girl that was in his mom's class, and I'm like, man, this guy's a special person, which we never questioned his person. We didn't like the way that that all went down. But, you watch that and you're like, man, this guy, not only is he a future NFL player and guy that stuck with us and part of the championship team in 2020, but he's also, there's a special person in there, and I can't stand when game day does that because I'm not watching game day to cry, but then you see it and you're like, man, a little 11-year-old that he's kind of just been her role model and everything. And so he's a great dude, man. And I thought he's just put together, like, keep watching these games and he's so good every week and better. And maybe sometimes in life you have those moments. I mean, in anything we do, I know there's shows that I've been like, I stink, like, and then you can't wait for the next show to get on there. Just because you want to get better. You might have a bad day at work. You take a bad test. We all have bad moments, but it's how you respond to those moments. And he had another great game tonight. And so, I'm giving him my game ball and a kind of a tip of the cap for hanging in there.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And I do want to answer this question real quick because I do find it interesting because I think the Diego Pavia thing, he's suing the NCAA. It involves like his time on the JUCO level and NIL and how, the fact that the eligibility that he was using up down there, he didn't have the ability to earn NIL and all this stuff. I don't know how that affects Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson was a JUCO guy. I mean, I don't know if he can make the same arguments. I don't know the exact details. I haven't looked into it a ton, but just mentioning Deontay Lawson and Jahad Campbell, the fact that I'm telling you guys, Jahad Campbell's going to be a first-round draft pick come April. You just need to go ahead and wrap your mind around that, assuming he stays healthy, unless there's some kind of sort of, catastrophic fall off from him. He's going to be a day one draft pick. I don't foresee him coming back next year. Maybe I'm wrong. There's been some off-ball linebackers who I probably would have said should have gone to the NFL. They didn't. Mm-hmm. They stuck around. They kind of worked their way into being a surefire first-round pick. Maybe that happens with Campbell, but Lawson, I could totally see him leaving early as well if that happens. Justin Jefferson's technically a senior. So you could end up losing all three of those guys, and you would really have to replenish the depth there. That would be a big talking point in the offseason. But if this Diego Pavia thing, maybe that can, if that maybe that can open the door for someone like Justin Jefferson to get some extra eligibility. And I would just go ahead and tell you, if he could somehow manage to do that, and I don't want to give anybody any sort of false hope because I don't know what that's going to entail, but I would say that would be absolutely huge for Alabama's defense next year, especially if he could be given a full-time role as the starter. But I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was an interesting question.
Well, and the other thing is you got NIL and transfer portal. So, and DeBoer is a really, really good transfer portal coach. So just know that he never had an opportunity to really hit it hard because of when he came in and everything else. So if we don't have it now, we'll have it. You can guarantee that. Now, offensive side of the football, I guess you went first on defense. I'm going first on offense, and this is an easy one. And when this guy's doing his thing, Alabama is unbeatable. I'm telling you, when this guy's doing his thing, Alabama is unbeatable. And I know you guys get on me all the time on here. Some of you guys, you get on my ass because I take up for this guy a lot. And I'm not taking up for him because because I like him and I don't know where his weaknesses are. The reason I take up for him is the shit that I see today. And you know who that is. You know who that is.
You ain't. Hey, I
don't even need to tell you that it's.
You're right.
You already know that when he's running the ball, it's like DeBoer said, it's a superpower. And I've said that on here before. When he's running the ball, you can't stop them. They block for him, and it takes a whole team. You got to block. You got to do this and that. But when he's running the ball like he does, like he did tonight, like he did against Georgia, you can't beat Alabama. And that's why I like him so much. Like I like that he's a true dual threat guy. I was pissed when it went on that fourth down play. He handed it off. No, take that, run out, and let's go. Trust yourself. But I really, really, man, when he's running the ball, I can't get enough of him. These nights are like when you see him doing his thing, you're like, I would not want to be on the field trying to figure out who's got the ball. Because the minute that you pay attention to the running back, or the minute that you take your eye off of Hollywood, off of Bernard, off of Jam Miller catching the ball, and then all of a sudden he's got it, watch out. He had some explosive runs tonight in that rain. Bama got up and I thought he had one of his best games, and he's had some great games.
Absolutely. And I'll say this, man, just talking about Milroe, we talked about LSU's pass rush coming in. It was one of the best pass rushes in the country. I said that I didn't think it was quite South Carolina, but they have some really effective edge rushers. How do you kind of take those guys out of the game, or limit their effectiveness? You throw the football only 18 times and you still score 42 points. Alabama didn't give those guys a whole lot of opportunities to get up to the quarterback. And that is so huge. I guarantee you, that was a specifically designed game plan where they went in saying these guys, when they're put in a position where they can get after the quarterback, they're effective at it. They can change the game. Maybe they can force a turnover. They really keep the crowd involved with the big sacks and the negative plays or whatever. And what did Alabama do? They took their ability to impact the game and they limited it to a point where really they were almost non-existent. So I definitely, I want to give Jalen Milroe a lot of credit for that. I also want to give Nick Sheridan a lot of credit for that. And I was going to say Tyler Booker. I do think he deserves a game ball. I think Jam Miller, I really think he had a good game. I don't care what the stats say, especially with the what he was able to do in the passing game. But I want to give Nick Sheridan a lot of credit because I feel like this was his most well put together game plan. I love what he did in the first half against Georgia. But it was, LSU was chasing all night. What I mean by that is that Alabama's offense was always one step ahead, and they had a great game plan, really dialing things up in the right situations. When they needed things, they got it, especially early when there were some second and longs, some third and longs, and it really helped out this offense. It really helped set the tone for the game. So I want to give Nick Sheridan a lot of credit because if they keep getting this type of performance out of him, this is going to be a really tough offense to stop. And that's with them only throwing, for 109 yards through the air. The threat of Ron Williams, the threat of Jeremy Bernard, those are things that are going to continue to be there. They wasn't there tonight necessarily from a production standpoint, but it will continue to be there as far as defense having to prepare for it. And if you can get this kind of, anything close to this as far as Jalen Milroe's legs moving forward and Nick Sheridan dialing up the right plays, is going to be a really strong Alabama offense and a really strong Alabama team.
Yep. We got to give the special team the burn up again. I mean, no, there's nothing to say except this guy is a weapon. And he did it again, which was fantastic. And then now we start to think about getting healthy, and we'll be covering things on the channel. I'm going to stick around with you guys. I'm going to put Brian Kelly on. I'm going to go through some of your comments. There's a super chat that I want to get into, but Clint, I think you got to go, right? So just tell everybody what you got going on this week on Cover Crimson.
Yeah, we're going to be diving into the snap counts, man. It's going to be fun. A lot of guys were able to play. But man, I'm curious to see usage more specifically. How do they use Jod Campbell? How do they use Jalen Milroe? You see some things live, but I want to see how those running backs played. I want to see how Geno Vandermark played. Obviously, Jaden Roberts has been banged up for a majority of the year. We were hoping that the bye week would help him. He ended up having to leave the game. We didn't see him again. Hoping that he can get back on the field. But, I really would like to see how Geno Vandermark played. All these things we're going to be talking about over at covercrimson.com. And, there were a lot more than that, really. With the Mercer week coming up, I mean, it's going to be treated somewhat like a bye week where it'll be more reflective, but it will also kind of be looking forward and just seeing where, Alabama stands compared to a lot of these college football playoff teams. A lot of, it's interesting. The clock rule changes, the fact that they expanded the playoffs to 12 teams, the fact that, the transfer portal kind of deplenishing the depth of some of these teams. Mm-hmm. It's made a lot of parity in college football right now. I mean, you're seeing very few teams go undefeated. You're seeing very few teams, even stick with one loss. Georgia obviously got their second loss. Miami finally lost. You're seeing a lot of this in college football, and I want to see how Alabama's stacking up from a resume perspective. Let's go ahead and start. It doesn't mean that Alabama's going to automatically make the college football playoff, but we said if they could get past LSU, you at least felt confident about their ability to get wins in these last three games. They still got to go out there and do it, but really going to Baton Rouge was that last major hurdle that you're like, man, I don't know, right. And with especially the way they look. So we'll be talking more about how their resume stacks up and things like that. All that you can find over at covercrimson.com.
All right. Thanks, Clint. And great job, man. Roll Tide to you, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. Talk to you soon, man.
All right, see you. All right, guys, 42-13, the final. I do want to play the Brian Kelly press conference, and then we'll chew on that. Let me get to a super chat, though, and I appreciate all the super chats that you guys throw our way, man. As on a night like this, I'm not in a hurry to get out of here. I just want to hang out with you guys and suck it in. I want to suck this thing in. I'll be smoking these Tigers. Roll Tide, gents. Are we leading the nation in turnover margin? We got to be up there. Talking about how patient the offense was. I agree, man. I agree. I felt like the offensive line just looked confident. So Thundar the Barbarian, man, always great to hang out with you, man. I thought that the offensive line just looked confident. And I was worried when Roberts went down, but we know he's been banged up all year, and he's been out there manning up, So hopefully he'll be all right. There's a lot of people that are going to be on the injury report. LSU played a physical game. I know they got blown out, but they played a physical game. Bama was just better. And now we're going to hear from Brian Kelly. We already heard from Kalen DeBoer, and I'm just curious what Brian Kelly had to say about this. I mean, maybe we won't listen to the whole thing, but let's just kind of catch some of this press conference, and we'll see what he has to say.
Exciting evening. Turned out to be a disappointing evening. I told my team I was, certainly excited, coming into the game about their preparation and the way that they thought about this game, what they needed to do physically, mentally, all the things that we talk about. I was excited about their preparation. They were ready to play. I take ownership in not getting our guys in the right position tonight. And we just did not make the best of the opportunities that we had. And then certainly a lot of things didn't go the right way tonight with not being able to get off the field on third down, turning the ball over on offense. And it just seemed there were at times some key things in the game that didn't go our way. And so one of those nights where you look at it and its totality, and look, take nothing away from Alabama. They played very well tonight as well. But we're dealing with a second loss now in the SEC. And we're on the uphill, certainly, but we've got to, as coaches, we've got to put our guys in a better position to succeed. That's the challenge that I have. I own that, and we've got to play cleaner football, and we've got to get off the field. Certainly, those are the two big takeaways for me in terms of the game itself. And then certainly, some of the untimely things that happened during the game that were critical, that really, put us back relative to, the game itself, whether they were untimely penalties or, third down conversions. They all impacted the game and the eventual outcome. So with that, we'll open it up to questions.
Like you spent a lot of the second half talking to Blake, just talking to him on the sideline, trying to figure some things out, I guess. Is that what you were doing? Were you able to come up with any answers?
Yeah, again, look, if you're watching the game, you're like, what did these guys do for 2 weeks? Like, we have a scheme to stop the quarterback. We did not get that done. So I take responsibility for it. Blake is not going to hide from the responsibility, but we also have to put our players in the right position to take advantage of what they're capable of doing. So we own it together, and we've got to get it fixed, certainly, because it's it's been a couple of weeks now, in 2 games. So I respect the inquiries and the questions, because we now go into these last 3 games with the need to win all 3 of these games and play better football in the month of November.
Coach, when you're sort of talking about trying to find the right way to put the guys in the right spot to make plays, are you talking about just trying to find the right schematic fit for these guys, the right schematic answers?
Yeah, so it's a little bit about, we're not reinventing the wheel when it comes to defending the quarterback. There's only a couple of ways to defend him, and so we have to be able to get our players that we're not trading any of them. There's no waiver wire. We're not, bringing anybody up from, the demo squad. We've got to come up with the right answers on what works best for the guys that we have. And it hasn't worked very well these last couple of games. So we got to go back and start all over again and look at what's the best way to defend in certain situations with the players that we currently have, because they want to do it. They were ready. They were locked in. They were focused. They had the right mindset coming into this game.
Coach, how do you approach the last 3 weeks of the season, knowing that the college football playoff is likely out of the question?
Yeah, I think everybody asked the same question. We really look. They're disappointed. We're disappointed in the way we performed. We're not going. These guys are not like, hey, we're out of the playoffs. That's not what they're disappointed, and I'm disappointed that we didn't live up to the standards of LSU football. That affects us more than the damn playoffs. We're disappointed when you put on the jersey for LSU. There's a standard of football that those 3 letters on your jersey, it's a prerequisite, and we didn't live up to that. That's the disappointment.
Brian, you mentioned got to get it fixed. In the coming days, weeks, months, how do you address the deficiencies that you?
All right, we heard a little bit from the Brian Kelly press conference. Phone lines open if you guys want to talk about the game. Let's go over the stats together. I think that's important. I mean, definitely a great night for Alabama, 42-13 final. Dominant from the beginning. Alabama with the weather conditions. You heard Coach DeBoer in his press conference talk about how they anticipated that it was going to be rainy conditions. Practiced with wet footballs, wet jerseys, kind of knew that was a very good possibility and didn't shy away from it. And Alabama was in the elements, excellent. When you look at the stats, I'm scrolling through them right here for you. Jalen Milroe didn't throw the ball a whole lot today. 12 of 18, 109 yards. It's hard to throw a wet football. It's hard to throw in conditions, wind and everything else. But when you're running the ball effectively, you also don't want to throw the ball if you don't have to. Dominating is a lot of times you're dominating because you run the ball over a team. You're taking their will. All right, let's go to the phone lines and talk to you guys about tonight's game. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, make it Heath one more time.
Heath.
And then I'm done.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, man, there's breaking news, man. I heard that Mike the Tiger got in the transfer portal.
He's seen enough.
Yeah. Now, hey, really, the reason I called back is to let everybody know, like, we love football. We love everything that's going on. But I hope the people that are listening will remember, like, on Monday, Veterans Day. And, when you're out and about and you're talking to veterans, which I don't like wearing on my sleeve, but I am one. But just talk to them as people and ask them what they did. Don't say thank you for your service. Just have a conversation with veterans. And I wear 22 a day bracelets because on average 22 veterans a day commit suicide.
Wow.
So just remember that we love the game, we love the sport, but it all comes at a cost, right? So
yeah.
But anyway, hey man, roll tide, brother.
Hey, roll tide. Thanks for calling back. And you make a great point. I'm going to talk about that for a second too. Always great to hear from my main man Heath. I went to school at Alabama with a guy named Jake. His real name was Thomas Walter Jackner, but we called him Jake. He bartended at Boo Radley's and the Brass Monkey before that, and he also served in the Army. And when 9/11 happened, he had opened up a cheesesteak place where the right across from the gas station on the Strip. I think that building now is like a ticket place, but anyway, his restaurant was called Fat Phillies, and we sat in there on 9/11 and we watched those planes hit the buildings, and he closed the place up and went and served for our country, helped track down terrorists, and eventually he was killed in action. And so Veterans Day, Memorial Day, anytime I think about the military, I think about Jake and kind of what he meant to me and to the country. And also I named my son after him. So I say his name a whole lot. Jackner. My son's name's Jackner, but I call him Jake. So any of you guys that served our country, man, I salute you. Tip a glass to you, hold it up. Thank you. Veterans, and the freedom isn't free. I'll just put it like that. So good point, Heath. Anybody wants to call in 205-900-3832, taking your calls for a little while longer as we kind of just revel in that victory and kind of looking at the stats right now and talking about the game. But, you didn't have to run the ball. And I mean, you didn't have to throw the ball. And that was one of the reasons they didn't throw it. But the runs were there. And once we kind of softened up the underbelly with the passes to Jam Miller, the run game started to crank up. Milroe, 12 carries, 185 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 tutties today for Milroe. Jam Miller, 13 carries, 38 yards. Richard Young back in, 6 carries, 27 yards, and a touch, or a tutty. You had Justice Haynes out there, 8 carries, 23 yards, a touchdown. Just some real hard hitting. Ryan Williams doing it, getting the ball in his hands. Ran one, returned a kick. Caught some passes today. Only 2 catches for 29 yards, but I thought that first catch that he had at the beginning of the game was a big catch because I was worried about the start of the game. I feel like Milroe's always a better quarterback when he gets a good start to the game, when he makes a couple plays early. I think that the offense is just a little more confident when they get it going early, and that was great, that catch. But in those conditions, you're back there, it's slick. You don't want to make a mistake, and you don't want to throw the ball in the other team's hands. And when you're stuck throwing it like Nussmeier today, 42 times, you're going to make mistakes. He threw 2 interceptions and had that touchdown at the end of the game. He threw for 239, but Alabama turned all those turnovers into points, and that's why they blew them out today. You could tell Brian Kelly in his press conference is like, he's sitting there and he's like, I mean, what do you do? The other thing, and I do want to say this about Brian Kelly and LSU, is that LSU is dealing with a ton of injuries, and it's part of the game. I mean, it just is, right? But when you don't have, John Emery and Harold Perkins, and you go down that list, they're missing like 4 offensive linemen, and just a bunch of guys are out for them. It does change the complexion of the game. But at the same time, if you're Alabama, you cannot go into it and go, hey, you know what? These guys are injured. You got to go into it with a mentality of, we're here to take care of business, and we're going to empty this stadium out. and all those chants and everything else that they do there. It's a loud place. I've been down there a bunch of times for games. And I've seen Alabama win down there, and I've seen Alabama lose down there. And honestly, I thought tonight's game was as dominant as I've ever seen Alabama play down there. I mean, to me, can you imagine if Alabama lost to a team like that in Tuscaloosa? I mean, Bama will lose some games, but that was just a country ass whooping that got put on LSU tonight. So, all the way around dominant. But the running game was fantastic. Receiving, kind of mentioned this before, Jam Miller out of the backfield. LSU never really had an answer for it. It was a great game plan, and he can catch, man. That guy's he's got hands. 2 catches, 29 for Ryan Williams. CJ Dupree had a catch for 12 yards, carried dudes. I think it was like a 3rd down catch maybe for first. I just remember the play. Kendrick Law, a couple of catches for 10 yards. But it just wasn't one of those games where, you were seeing a lot of passing. For LSU, Kyron Lacey's always going to get his. He's a good receiver, 5 catches, 79 yards, and a touchdown. But a lot of that was when the game was over. Aaron Anderson, the guy that transferred from Bama, 3 catches, 27 yards, had a 15-yard catch, wasn't a factor in the game. Mason Taylor, really good tight end, 4 catches, 50 yards. Josh Williams, 6 catches, 38 yards for LSU. Nussmeier fumbled. Bama turned that into a touchdown, and then he threw 2 interceptions as well. So Bama with 14 points right out of the chute. They were up 14-3 after the first half, 21-6 going into halftime. We were kind of right back to where we were when Alabama played Georgia and had the lead against a good team that was ranked. And Bama in the second half of the game just kept it on them. Outscored them 21-7 in the second half, 42-13, blew them out. LSU scored that touchdown with like less than a minute to go. I mean, it was like change on the clock when they scored. And Bama's defense came up strong again today. So Kane Womack was taking a lot of heat, and all he's done is put together some 2 back-to-back games where this defense has been fantastic. So the Vanderbilt game, obviously the second half of the Georgia game, people were pretty disappointed. And then all of a sudden now Alabama's kind of turning the corner and getting back on track. So let's see here. All right. Don't think we beat them at home this bad since Dennis Franchione put a 31 zip ass whooping on them. And on Saban in Death Valley. When Dennis Franchione took that job where he left Alabama for Texas A&M, I mean, man, I'll tell you what, that was such a bad decision. I mean, but I do remember that was probably the best Dennis Franchione moment. Like because I was there for those. I wasn't at that game though, in Death Valley, but I was around and I was with Alabama at that point. So I remember that game. Kevin says he was in the $1 Million Band and it was also raining. Yeah, I remember that one. I want to say that was like something happened maybe the week before where LSU barely won, and then the next week Alabama put it on them. Like they might have had a Hail Mary or something. It's been so long now. Thundar said he was there too. We beat them 29 zip not too long ago. Yeah, I remember that one too. Man, this one just felt like he was just running all over them. I mean, like they just at all the big plays. This one was fantastic. All of them are fantastic. I like beating these guys. I think this one's a big one for obviously it's a big one for the program. It's a big one for Kalen. I mean, you got to beat your rivals. And they lost to Tennessee. And at this job, you got to beat Tennessee, you got to beat Auburn, and you got to beat LSU. Now, I know LSU hasn't been a traditional rival like Tennessee and Auburn, but you got to win those rivalry games. And 2 of the 3 are on the road, and so this to me is definitely a makeup for the Vanderbilt game. Vanderbilt's a lot better than we thought at the beginning of the year, but people are starting to figure them out now. I mean, obviously they got handled by South Carolina, but you still have to play a good game to beat them. So yeah, nice win for Kalen DeBoer and this coaching staff. So now when you look at the rest of the season, Tracy, Roll Tide, baby, I'm with you on that. When you look at the rest of the season, you got Mercer at Oklahoma and then the Iron Bowl. And so I like the way that this all kind of it all kind of lays out. This was a physical game. We're trying to figure out, who's going to be able to recover from this game and who's going to be out for the season. Clint can't stand that the people in the press conference don't ask about injuries. And I don't know why they don't do that, because you're allowed to ask that question, but they haven't. So maybe we need to tell somebody, hey, ask about the injuries, because we got to know like where we're at, as far as and when it does come out Monday, the press conference, we'll when we do the show here on Monday, we watch the press conference, we'll get somebody in there to ask or try to figure it out. I mean, not that they want to come in and give you an injury report, but DeBoer's been pretty open about that. Brian Kelly filed a restraining order against Jalen Milroe. It was, oh man, that all the pageantry, everything that goes into it, and then to just get whooped like that today for those Tigers. They've lost some games this year, but they were in those games. Today was just pillar to post, as they say. It was just a country back behind the shed beatdown. I'll say this, Kevin. If Bama wins out, they're getting into the playoff. Just put money on it. I don't think that you got to worry about anything else. They're going to be in the top 10. This is one of those wins on the road that you don't see a lot of right now in the SEC. And it's because the SEC has just gotten so good. Like with the NIL, you're going to buy the play. Even Vanderbilt's going out and using NIL money. Kentucky's tough. Mississippi State's the only team that I look at this year and go, okay, yeah, they suck. Right. But I think they'll be better. But they suck this year. The rest of them are, I mean, they'll give you a fight, man. So even Auburn, I mean, I know Auburn's record stinks, but they always find a way to lose. It's not like they're getting, beaten up like LSU did today. So winning convincingly is, to me, I think it's a big deal for Alabama. All right, here's one right here. Okay. Were y'all conflicted about Ole Miss beating Georgia? Supposedly better for Bama if Georgia won, but I'm a hater, so hotty toddy. Look, I wanted Georgia to win, but then when they lost, I'm going, the best part about it is now you have that log jam with teams having 2 losses in the conference. And I've kind of felt you talk about conflicted. Is it better for us to skip the SEC championship game and go into the college football playoff, or go into the SEC championship game and then go into the college football playoff, and winning an SEC championship to me is still really important. In Alabama is the defending SEC champs. And I would love to see them celebrate, get another ring, another championship. But at the same time, I'd also prefer that they not have to play in that game and and go straight into the playoff. But now all of a sudden you look at it's Texas and Alabama, the 2 teams that have the best shot at playing in Atlanta. If Alabama takes care of business, they got to beat Oklahoma and they got to beat Auburn. So, yeah, it is what it is, right? So I I'm curious to see kind of how it all plays out, but I think it would have helped Alabama just because they don't play Ole Miss. Had Georgia have beaten them, but they didn't. And honestly, being tied for second, or what if Texas A&M beats Texas, and all of a sudden you got a bunch of teams with 2 losses? What if Texas A&M ends up with, what if it's like 5 teams, 6 teams with 2 losses? And it could happen. So next week, Georgia plays Tennessee, and that's an elimination game. They're both of those teams are in the same exact spot that we're in when we played LSU. Where you're like, hey, the loser is likely out, right? Or you pull up I'm going to pull up the SEC standings, just because I am curious now, kind of where what it kind of looks like, and I'll pull it up for you guys. Is it already up there? Yeah, here we go. All right, let me pull this up here. All right. So maybe it isn't I guess Tennessee, if they win, even if they lose, they still only have 1 loss. So you got Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Texas all with 1 loss. Georgia, Ole Miss, Bama, Missouri, LSU with 2 losses. This isn't updated, right? Because LSU's got 3 losses now. So they haven't updated that part of it. So Bama would actually be 5-2, right? So no, maybe it is updated. So look at all these teams with 2 losses. Yeah. Man, that's crazy to think about. Okay, yeah, so 2 conference losses, but 3 losses overall for LSU, right? Yeah, because they're 6-3. Okay, that's it. So yeah, so think about it. Like if Tennessee loses to Georgia, they're going to have 2 losses. Texas A&M, they play Auburn and Texas, so they could, they may lose to Texas. That would give them 2 losses. Texas plays at Arkansas and Kentucky, so they're probably only going to have 1 loss, but they play Texas A&M at the end, so that could possibly happen. There's just so many different scenarios. But having, but Bama being 7-2, 4-2 in the conference, with Oklahoma, that's 1-5 right now in the SEC. My goodness. And then Auburn. I mean, that's two really winnable games. So there could be a log jam with 2. I don't know how Texas is going to end up with 2 losses unless they lose to Texas A&M. So it could be one of the 2 Texas schools will have 2 losses. One of them will have 1 probably. And then everybody else could have 2 losses. So it could be like a big log jam with 2 lost teams. And then they got to figure out who goes and all the tie break scenarios. And there could be some teams that are like, you know what? You guys have it. Like the coin flip. And they're like, you take it. Just because if you really want to win a national championship, you may want that week off. And I look at this SEC, and I'm telling you right now, there's some teams that could. Texas A&M's looked really good at times this year. Texas has looked really good this year. I mean, they killed Florida today. Georgia's a good team. They just don't have enough playmakers. They really miss Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey. I mean, they just don't have anybody to get the ball to. Ole Miss today looked like they could beat anybody. They're 8-2. I don't think Missouri's that good of a team, but still ranked. LSU's got a lot of injuries, and but they're not. I mean, they got their butts whooped today, but I mean, they're not that bad of a team. They just ran into a buzzsaw. South Carolina with 3 losses, getting better and better. And that they beat a pesky Vandy team today, and they made it look easy. They've won 3 in a row ever since Bama beat them. and then like Arkansas beat Tennessee, so the conference is tough. Conference is good right now, but one of these teams one of these teams could easily win a national championship. It's because it's an SEC. You get through this gauntlet. I think Ohio State has a chance to win a championship. They're probably the only team outside of the SEC that I look at and go, you know what, they could win one. But they're not a complete team either. I watched them against Penn State, and I thought, man, you know what, man, you're okay. A lot of it just kind of comes down to the draw. But I bet you if they end up having to play one of these, an Alabama, a Tennessee, Georgia, in the playoff, they're going to be out right away. They better hope that they're playing like some of those teams on their side. Could Oregon win a national championship? I don't know. I know they beat Ohio State. But I don't know. I just think that if it's not Ohio State, then I just don't think that any other team, I think one of the teams in the SEC is going to end up winning. And that's normally how these things play out. But it's going to be interesting because you're going to have 12 teams. Today, Ole Miss with their win over Georgia puts themselves like squarely back in the picture again. So this is coming down to it. And then the other part too is, and you look at this and you're like, okay, you may have to, if you're Alabama, get into the SEC championship just to, make sure that you make the playoff, because you got, you got Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, even with their loss today, Georgia, as teams that I think are going to get in. Where's Georgia going to be ranked after that loss? I'm guessing that Alabama will probably end up being in the top 10 somewhere way ahead of Georgia just because they beat them head to head. And honestly, the game wasn't even, this is the second time that Georgia's got run out of the building. I mean, they came back against Alabama, but when they're behind, they have no offense. Tennessee's going to be really tested in Athens, and I don't know what the spread's going to be in that game, but they're not going to beat Georgia. And then what happens, So, but for Alabama, I mean, it's just keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to be in there, I think. But it's going to be interesting like tomorrow when they release the top 25 to see where Alabama is and where Ole Miss is after those wins and how far Georgia falls with that loss. So anyway, AK says Oregon's overrated. Yeah. So does Adam. I hear that. No, I'm not saying that Georgia would get in over us. We already beat them. I'm saying that they're going to get in and we're going to get in. I'm just saying in the poll there's no way they can rank them ahead of us, because I wouldn't think with those losses. But if Georgia loses to Tennessee, then they're out. So this what I gotta say this, man. Right, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Georgia's win over Texas has to hold weight too. I mean, I think that Alabama and Georgia both are in right now. And I think that they'll probably both win out. I don't think Georgia will lose another game. So, and I don't think Alabama will either, which is why this one was so important. But who knows, man? You got to go out there and play. I mean, Bama lost to Vandy, and then the way they played against Tennessee, you get some bad officiating. The officiating tonight was fair. How many times you see Alabama in some of these games where you're on the road and then the officiating's bad, and then you're kind of like stuck in there. Here's Adam's top 5. So you think Alabama goes all the way up to number 5 after the win today? I think they could. I mean, I would not be surprised, because it's one of the most dominating wins. It's not just a win; it's a dominating win over a ranked team on the road. And you put us in Death Valley at night, and that's when we're supposed to lose, right? I mean, that's why the TV networks do it. So It's really interesting. And I'm going to admit that when I was against the college football playoff, the reasoning was I said, hey, I love the regular season and I don't want the regular season to be watered down. I always felt like college football is better than the NFL because the regular season games matter so much more. And I didn't want that to change. Well, now, I mean, I'm watching and I'm going, you know what? It hasn't changed. I mean, it makes a game like today way more meaningful. If you didn't have the playoff, this game would have just been like another game. You know, Georgia, Tennessee next week would have been important to Tennessee, but not that important to Georgia because they would have been out of it. So that's the fun part about this college football playoff is there's enough teams where you're getting in and it's not diluted to the point where the regular season doesn't matter, but it's still exciting because you know, you're making a lot of these games way more important than they were in the past. You know, when you got 4 teams, you know, you're probably not going to get in. We're not getting in with 2 losses. So yeah, very cool the way that this playoff is kind of changing the regular season. And it's actually been the exact opposite outcome than I thought, where the games matter. So it didn't diminish the regular season at all. And I watched the Georgia Ole Miss game and the energy at that stadium today and the excitement there. And then watching game day in Baton Rouge, same thing, man. Like it's just, there's a fire there. That's really exciting. So, yeah, Dickie says college football is way more watchable than NFL. I agree with that too, man. I watch the Ravens because that's my favorite team, but I don't watch the NFL. I mean, unless it affects my fantasy football team, which by the way is in first place. But I don't even. One of my buddies takes care of my team for me. I got a GM. I just make trades and stuff. I don't have enough time in my week to watch the NFL, but I enjoy college. Like I'm watching Utah and BYU right now with you guys on one of the TVs, the TV in front of me, and I don't know what's on behind me, but the college game's great. I hope that they come up with some NIL rules. I think you guys agree with that. You know, where we don't where it just doesn't, the game doesn't get ruined by NIL and transfer. But this season has been a lot of fun. I thought today's win for Coach DeBoer was a really big one. And one of the things that he does really well is put a game plan together with that bye week. I mean, this is the second time this year that Alabama's had a bye week, and they have come out and been really tough to stop. You know, and the Georgia game caught them all by surprise, did it today. It was the Jam Miller passes, you know, that they couldn't defend. And then that kind of helped loosen up the run for Milroe. And boy, that was awesome. So we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use that promo code next round to double your initial deposit. That's mybookie.ag. You got college football, college basketball, Bama number 2, which is still awesome. But NFL, NASCAR, all of that stuff, mybookie.ag. Use that promo code next round to double your initial deposit. Cover Crimson. Make sure that you guys are a subscriber to our channel here as you hang out. Thumbs up, says Roll Tide. And then covercrimson.com. You get this shirt with the annual subscription. So covercrimson.com as we build this thing, be a part of it. Clint's going to break down the entire game. He's going to go by play and check it out and kind of get into that. So William says, love college, but the NFL is incredible. I grew up like loving the NFL. And then when I came to college at Alabama, I mean, I went to the 96 Iron Bowl and I was like, whoa, I mean, like blown away. That was my first college game. And ever since then, I mean, I've been all about college, and some years NFL's good. I mean, but I'm nothing better than going to a Bama game. The tailgate, the quad, the bars, there's just all the fun that you have. Then you go to the game, and then afterwards you come hang out with here. So, but yeah, Adam, I thought the game plan was great too. I thought that the game plan was really amazing today. I'm trying to figure out what you mean by this. It's all being rigged. I hope that the refs do stink. I mean, but at least stink both ways. It's like some of those Tennessee games, you go back, and even though I didn't think the refs were why Alabama lost this year, they missed so many calls in that game, and it's like, you got to be kidding me, man. How do you not see this guy's offsides? He ran like nobody else is moving, and he's running to the quarterback. We're going to try to find out what the injury situation is. Hopefully Q Robinson and Devontae Smith are okay. I'm sure that if I'm Coach DeBoer, I'm going to try to just give some of these guys the next game off. You should be able to take care of Mercer without really having your best players. But if you guys, I don't know much about Mercer. We'll figure him out a little bit this week. If you go and watch the show that I did this week on my channel, Bama Tailgate, I interviewed Bryce Kuhn, who works for 24/7 Sports and covers LSU. And he said on there, hey, he expected Alabama to win, but he also spent 3 years on the broadcast team at Mercer. So he kind of gave us a little preview of Mercer, and actually for their division, they're one of the ranked teams. Are pretty good. So, I just don't expect it to be, a contest. All right. Dickie says, shows are great. Glad Catfish is back. Yeah. Catfish is back on my channel. He was in a business, and then I don't know, he was doing something where he didn't have any time to be on with us, and now he's back. So honestly, I love the Catfish, man. Yeah, and he did go to the jail at the Superdome 1 year trying to sell tickets. And the police took his tickets and probably sat in his seats. A lot of corruption down there in New Orleans. Adam, you say that most of the teams don't have a chance to win the national championship, but I'm telling you right now, if Bama gets in as the 11th or 12th seed, they have a chance to win a national championship. This team has as much talent as anybody in the country, and when they run the ball like they did today, and then they can throw it too. The defense is starting to come together. I love the blitzing. Loved it. I love the fact that at the end of the game, LSU's trying to score and Bama's just going all out after them. I love the aggressiveness. They're one of their big things is turnovers, and they got a ton of them, and they capitalized on them. So many positives from this game that I look back at and I go, man, this is what it's all about. Being aggressive. And yeah, and AK, that's what I'm saying. That was a championship performance tonight for Alabama. Absolutely loved it. And a big deal, because I'm hoping that when they lost to Tennessee and they had to look themselves in the eyes, that they decided that they wanted to be Alabama again. And they, I mean, it's been a long time since we've gone into an environment like that and emptied the stadium out. You know, I mean, I don't count Wisconsin. I mean, I'm talking about, you know, LSU, Tennessee, you know, some of those places, Auburn, where you go there and it's going to be a fist fight and you know it. And not only do you go in there, but you take care of business. Parker, yeah, I think Ben Kirk's dog died maybe yesterday, but we've all kind of adopted the, you know, Kurt's dog, and I think we've all kind of, well, if you've ever had one, you go through, it's the worst, you know. So yeah, it was sad to see that, and my heart goes out to him. And I thought it was cool that they let him bring him to, you know, to the games, you know, because he was on the sideline some. But you know, I think Kirk's one of the best. I really do. And I don't throw out compliments on that a lot, but he deserves it. I enjoy his calls. When he's on a Bama game, he's easy to listen to. You can tell he's just cheering to have a good game. And then when he's on the NFL and I listen, I like him on there too. So I really like him. So thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family as they deal with the loss. So yeah, I think we all were like, the Malachi Moore story was one that I didn't know about, that was on game day today. And it was basically how his mom was a teacher and one of her students loved Malachi, and she had a, you know, some kind of, I forget what it was, but something where she, you know, she was going to die. And at 11 years old, she did. And he brought her to Alabama games, let her stand on the sideline, just was kind of adopted her. And it was sad. I mean, it was just kind of like, whoa, you know. And then, yeah, when, you know, kind of going back to the Vanderbilt game, you know, I'm starting to try to figure out, like, when was that? And I mean, you know, you carry those things with you. You know, maybe that's one of the reasons that he kind of had that moment, you know. I mean, you care about people and you know, who knows, but I'll tell you what, he was my player of the game, and I liked him. I never said I didn't like him. I didn't like that the way that things went against Vanderbilt, but he's turning that into a redemption story, because he's been great. He has been great on the football field. I mean, great. And he had another great game today. And I'm excited about what kind of where his career is going to go, you know? So I think, I'm going to tell you guys, I don't like watching that stuff. I just want to watch football. I don't want to get teary eyed. I don't want to feel like and that's why they do it. They suck you in. And then you learn something. And I guess, like, a lot of times I don't know the teams, I don't know the players, but when it's our guys, man, I sit there and go, golly, man. You know, whether it's Kurt's dog or, you know, or a little 11-year-old girl that's, you know, got some kind of inoperable disease, and you see a college football player that could be doing a lot of other things with his time, spending it on her and you know, caring. I mean, you have to take your hat off. I mean, you just do, you know, and it shows you what kind of person he is. So anyway, Bama's back in action. Let's take a look at the game for next week. And then eventually I got to get off here. I'm going to put the schedule up. We'll kind of look at it together. Boom. All right. So Western Kentucky, South Florida, Wisconsin, Georgia, lost to Vandy. beat South Carolina, lost to Tennessee, and then back. Look at this. Since that loss, 34-0, 42-13. Mercer's a 1 o'clock game. Thank God. That means that when we're on the post game, it won't be in the middle of the night. Then at Oklahoma and at Auburn. We don't know what time either one of those games is going to be. Probably 2:30 here. And then I don't know, maybe 2:30 for both of them. Who knows? Maybe, I mean, are they going to put us on at night again? But very winnable games for Alabama. Get through those. They'll be in the college football playoff. So next week, a 1 o'clock game against Mercer. It's your last kind of get well game. And then, then what? Then you get ready for the playoff. But you can't look past Auburn and that you can't look past Oklahoma. Let's take a look at the SEC too before we get out of here. I want to go through the scores with you guys. Just put it right up there for you. Which, by the way, this one's getting really interesting here. Not an SEC game, but Utah trying to beat BYU. 7 minutes left. Georgia took care of Ole Miss today, 28-10. It wasn't even close. Georgia, like they just can't seem to figure out how to come back when they fall behind, So happened again. Bad conditions. They just, Carson Beck got sacked a lot. Georgia's offensive line couldn't block. Texas rolled Florida. Florida's on their third string quarterback. Ewers had 5 touchdowns. Billy Napier's, teams put up a good fight this year, and they're saying they're not going to fire him. Tennessee, another win. They played Mississippi State 33-14. Not much of a game there. Oklahoma lost to Missouri 30-23. That's really interesting. I mean, you talk about resources. Missouri, nowhere close to resources that Oklahoma has. And I wonder with the direction of that program, how long Will Venables is going to be the head coach there. I mean, that's can you imagine they Oklahoma and Alabama are kind of along the same lines when you look at the history, the expectations, the money, and all that stuff. That would not fly in Tuscaloosa. I can't imagine that's going to fly in Norman. And then I thought this was a good win for South Carolina, 28-7, beat Vandy. They just, like Sellers, another good game. And South Carolina's they're not going to make the college football playoff, but man, I'll tell you what, they're finishing strong, and taking care of some business there. So that's a look at the SEC. Now we'll take a look at what's coming up next week, just because we're at that point now. Why not, right? See what's going on in the conference. See, but BYU's trying to go down the field and score. They started on their own goal line or something. All right, SEC games next week. Texas at Arkansas. Kind of an interesting game. Arkansas is dangerous at home. They beat Tennessee, but they got blown out at home by Ole Miss. Auburn playing Louisiana Monroe. You got Murray State and Kentucky. Who cares? Bama. And so this is like the trash week. But look at Mercer, 9-1 this year. They lost to Stanford, though. Oh, no, that's Samford. So they're a pretty good team. They're getting one of those paycheck games, but still. You got LSU at Florida. You got Missouri at South Carolina. That's the big game right here. 6:30, Tennessee at Georgia. So really not much going on in the conference besides that. And that game's going to have a lot of playoff implications. Can you imagine Georgia being knocked out? Look, there's Uncle Charles. What's up, man? Roll Tide. Thanks for hanging out with us as always. All right, guys, look, did 2.5 hours today. I knew we were going to get together and talk about this win. Please like and subscribe. Thumbs up. It's a way of saying Roll Tide. Thank you for being part of our channel. And we will be back tomorrow. We're going to do our Sunday show. Clint and I, probably Chris, we'll get on here and cut it up with you guys Monday with the, like we do every Monday with the press conference and, just see what's going on with Kalen DeBoer. I know it's Mercer, but we're going to try to find out about the injury issues and feel good about where this team's at right now. Can they handle success? I think that's the next thing. Because last time they did. They lost to Vanderbilt and they lost to Tennessee. They're back on track again. How are they going to handle it? But thank all of you guys. Beans and cornbread. Man, love you, brother. Thank you. Staying up late with you guys because that's what we do here. But thank you to all of you and a hearty. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Roll motherfucking Tide.